Have you ever watched something that completely rewired your brain chemistry?
A procedural network drama might not be your usual pick, but it's ours.
This is The Buddy System, a 911 deep dive podcast hosted by three friends who have DM'd each other enough character dissertations to earn a PhD in media literacy.
I'm Han, coming to you straight from the characters' heads.
I'm Sil, bringing you to the observation deck.
And I'm Rachel, connecting the dots with my red string.
With our powers combined,
No stone is left unturned.
And no buddy is left behind. Today, we talk about how Maddie's voice matters.
Buck and Eddie do not handle this messy thing between them very well.
And how the parallels are buddy maxing to a cuckoo bananas degree.
This episode is sponsored by U-Haul. It holds a queen-sized mattress. Welcome to the Buddy System.
So this is our fourth special episode covering season 8. Today we're talking about season 8, episode 9, titled Sob Stories, teleplay by Tim Minear and Rashad Raisani, story by Tim Minear, Rashad Raisani, and Matt Solik. And it's directed by Bradley Bucher.
That's our boy.
We'll also be talking about season 8, episode 10, titled Voices, written by Ted Griffin and Molly Savard. It was directed by Jennifer Lynch. All right, so we are finally, after 3 long months, very long months.
We're back,
We're
baby.
back. We are so back.
We've never been more back. We're the most back to ever be back.
We have your back, and the show has our back. I think now more than ever.
So we're just going to have some general thoughts on these 2 episodes. For me, it's Buddy.
That's the
100%,
headline.
101%, 110%.
All
I don't
systems
know.
go.
I have no notes.
We have a lot of notes, but
I mean, there's actually so many notes.
but no notes on that.
It's really buddy brain rot. That's what we have right now.
Yes, but that's not our fault. That is Tim Minear's fault.
We can't take any blame for this.
No. There's 8 pages of notes here because of
8 pages?
his bullshit, not ours.
Oops.
But yeah, the buddy stuff, fucking incredible. Like, it's been good all season, but like to finally just like dig deeper into like where we're going. No notes. I guess one note. Give me more. Please, sir. I would like some more.
I would like some more.
We're literally Oliver.
Please. Oliver Twist.
Yes, Oliver Twist.
Not
Stark.
Stark.
It's so good. It's so good. We'll get into it. I'm not even going to broach it further. I really enjoyed seeing a very like moving storyline for Maddie, and JLH fucking killed this arc.
Mm-hmm.
She acted the shit out of it. And I hate seeing Maddie suffer, but I love seeing Maddie kick ass.
Yeah.
So overall, really enjoyed these 2 episodes overall.
Mm-hmm. I thought, I don't know, what did I think these past 2 weeks? Because honestly,
many thoughts.
it's been like a serious roller coaster between the Maddie stuff and then the Buck and Eddie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Buck and Eddie thing.
The thing between them.
The thing between them.
Unnamed thing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really been an emotional fucking roller coaster. I'm just so excited for what's to come with 8B, especially after these 2 episodes, because I think we're at the buddy half. That's what I think. And yeah, and with Maddie, Jennifer Love Hewitt, she knocked it out of the park. So did Abigail Spencer. It's just really good right now. I can't wait for Eddie in El Paso, and then whatever the hell 14 and 15 is going to be.
Whatever 13 is.
Whatever 13
we know
is.
more about 14 and 15 than we do about 13.
I know. Ooh.
Scared.
Mm-hmm.
And then the possible return of Mr. Redacted.
Rumored.
Which
Alleged.
we'll get to. You'll have to tune in probably towards the end of the episode, but we have some thoughts about that. And
Yeah,
we
do.
Not what you think.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, I know I was talking about things that I was excited for, but then I was like, oh yeah,
You're
there's that
excited
thing.
for what it will bring forth.
Let's, how a plot device drives a story. I'm excited for that.
Plug
Anyway.
for our plot device episode. If you haven't listened, go go now.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Pause this now. Go listen to that for 3
come
hours
back.
and then come back.
And listen to this for however long it ends up being.
It is our best episode, though. Listen to it.
Honestly,
Kind of.
yeah, kind of is. We're really proud of it.
Hit differently. Rachel?
These 2 episodes, man, I think they hit the ground running. Like, we are in the second half of the season, and it is just like throwing a whole bunch of stuff at us. Like, the energy levels have been so high, like not just for us watching, but like the story itself. We'll really get into it, but all of the Buck and Eddie stuff with moving is like so much, and so much I think that we didn't think that we hoped that we would get, but didn't necessarily think we would get to this degree. Yeah, so I think they're really setting up a lot of very interesting things for Buck and Eddie's storylines, both separately and together, with these 2 episodes. The storyline with Maddie was just so a lot. Like, I don't really have another word for it other than just like, that was a lot. And it was very effectively a lot. Like, it's wild. And the acting, I think that was truly the standout for all 3 of us, with Jennifer Love Hewitt, Abigail Spencer, and also to shout out Kenneth Troy, because like I think they blew the house down with their performances. And it was pretty much mostly 10, but also Jennifer Love Hewitt and Abigail Spencer in 9 as well. So kudos to everybody there. It was so entertaining. Like, we were on the edges of our seats, as you could see, because we recorded our live reaction, and that will probably be up on YouTube if you wanted to go check it out. And to be honest, I think we went back and watched our reaction to the Maddie scene where, her throat gets slashed, and we had the funniest reactions. Oh my God. like all of our jaws just like hit the floor. I went into absolute legitimate shock.
Like actual literal shock.
Yeah. You just see
She
me
was blinking .gif in a concerning
very hard.
manner.
And then Scylla was awkward giggling, and Han, I
Clutching
think,
my throat.
truly, you
You
had
were
like a
clutching your
physical
throat.
reaction. And Han was just like, your eyes didn't stop moving. I've never seen them so wide. So
My,
like,
what big eyes you have.
so if you also want to hopefully be entertained, go watch our reaction to that whenever it's available. Like, these 2 episodes have really delivered on the entertainment and the shock value. Like, we have been on the edges of our seats, and I don't think we've stopped. So we loved all of that about the episodes. I think there are a few things that we didn't super love, specifically about Maddie's storyline.
We just have a couple comments.
Questions, comments, and concerns.
Uh-huh.
Things that like maybe didn't resonate with us as much as we kind of hoped they would with the episodes.
Yeah, there were just a couple things. Like, you have to suspend your disbelief for like any fiction that you're consuming, especially visual fiction, especially television. And I think especially 911, because everything's very like camp. It's almost
hyperbolic.
It's almost soap opera levels sometimes. So you have to like suspend your disbelief. And I think we're all very used to that. But I think there were just a couple things that like kind of took us out a little bit. So we're just going to list them. Like the first one, which I think I mentioned in our live reaction, if you did watch that, because I have been doing audio for like, good Lord, a jillion years. As soon as there was like the voice modulator and no one clocked it, I was like, what the No one's saying anything about it. And also, like, if anyone would have clocked it, they would have been like, that's what a female registered voice sounds like
on a voice modulator.
A voice modulator. And I was like, in my head, okay, maybe it was just like me because I'm so crazy about it. No, I know you guys noticed it too, but I was like, well, you guys know a lot more about audio now because you're editing the podcast and your ears are trained. I was watching it with TJ, and TJ was like, that's a female voice through a modulator.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was just like, I feel like there was another way that could have gone without just like completely taking me out for like every other time we hear the voice, which is a lot because it's the weepy voice killer.
If anyone watched like the Hey Arnold, the movie back when they were
Yes.
kids.
Oh my God.
And Helga was doing the modulator. I'm like,
Yes.
that's immediately how I knew.
Wow, what a throwback.
Oh my
deep
God.
cut. But you're right. I love that movie.
Yeah. I love that movie too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that kind of took us out a little bit, especially with, Dispatch, and they're supposed to like half of their job is what they're listening to. And that's been kind of like touched on in the past as how important that is. So
a lot of times.
It just seemed a little bit like an oversight to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think we still really know how to really process or feel. And I don't think Maddie knows either. about how when she was on that second call with the weepy voice killer, and she like was trying to convince them to take their own life in order to save other people's lives. That I think is understandable, but it was just like a very like 0 to 60 sort of scenario, and I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, it was a little wild. It also was, and this has nothing to do with like the show itself. It has to do with the network, I guess. No warning about like, I know it wasn't actually suicide, but like
it was absolutely discussed like at length.
It was a beloved character talking someone into killing themselves. That's what was presented.
It's like an assisted, right? Like an assisted suicide.
Well, it's highly illegal. Like, I don't know the actual like ins and outs of it. I didn't bother to look it up, but like, I know it's illegal to do, especially when you're in a position like she is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you can go to jail. So
I think the only way and the only way in this fiction that you can excuse it, that's a poor term for what I'm trying to say here, is like, well, it's a bad guy and could do more harm otherwise, but like 2 wrongs don't make a right. And it just seemed like a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that was also kind of like shocking. I think Maddie shocked herself when she was doing that, but we'll talk that a little bit more with character arc.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the decision to make it's not explicitly stated, but I think it is very heavily and strongly implied, like almost explicitly.
Literally, what else would it be?
I know that Abigail Spencer's character, Amber Brayburn, who turned out to be the killer, has dissociative identity disorder because of the different alters.
Everything I know about DID is mostly from Moon Knight, so we're not really qualified to speak on this at length. We were just thinking that this is where they were going and hoping they weren't, and then they did. And then
because we know it's already a very stigmatized thing, and it tends to be a narrative device for villainry.
Yeah.
A lot of times. And like, we understand kind of why they went in that direction, but also like would have preferred to not see that kind of like perpetuation of that stigma.
Would have actually been more shocking had they not done this. If we were going for shock value and suspense, right?
Yeah, I think at one point even Athena thought that the killer was working with a partner, and I was like, oh, maybe they'll do that. And I was kind of hoping they would, and they didn't, which like,
no,
it's just difference in opinions of the choices. And then it just like with Athena's aspect of her investigation of the case, and it just seemed like it took a little bit longer than we've usually seen Athena to get to the correct conclusion of a case. Mm-hmm. So it kind of felt a little bit like our really smart characters, because we talk all the time about how smart all of these people are. It just seemed like they weren't acting quite as smart as they usually do, because usually I think we would assume that Athena would have those instant suspicions, which she got eventually, but then like would have to then fight to prove her suspicions correct, and not so much like the follow the trail, like her hand was being held through it. That's kind of what it felt like a little bit. So we would have liked to see Athena, kind of similar to Chimney, like have these suspicions and really go for it because she knows Maddie, have her work the case in that way, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, just we were kind of able to anticipate some of the twists, as in who the killer was. And I think there was a lot of chatter about it throughout the winter hiatus, and suspicion that it would be first of all, a female killer, and second of all, Abigail Spencer's character. So
well, and they gave it away in the preview
with the curl of the hair,
which is not like, that's just the marketing promo,
which is different.
Fault, but like whoever actually is doing that, please call me. Let me help you.
So I think like those twists we were kind of able to anticipate like going into the episode, but what we didn't anticipate, and understandably so, again, you'll see our reactions, was Maddie sustaining that kind of injury. So that was very shocking. I think that was executed very well, but the rest of it, we were like, kind of saw it coming a little bit. That may just be an us thing, but I think we weren't alone in thinking that.
It seems to be the entire online fandom, and I know that's not like the general audience, so like we can't speak for the general audience because we've never been general audience in our lives about anything really. But I feel like it was very predictable, which is not always bad, but when you're trying to do, I think what they were trying to do, which was like tell something that was really suspenseful with a lot of twists.
Predictability kills the tension.
Exactly.
Also, if you're an English major, you'd probably get it. You know, like if you have a pretty good degree of media literacy, even as a GA,
you read a lot or watch a lot.
Read a lot, watch a lot. You would easily be able to predict what's happening next.
So just to wrap up this kind of like questions, comments, and concerns, I think we overall still did very much.
911, what's your grievance?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's what we should have said. So our 911, what's your grievance sort of thing, which isn't really a grievance. It's just kind of like a constructive criticism. Like we would have liked to see some other.
911 had a suggestion box. If Dispatch had a suggestion box, that's what this is, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, again, I think we did very much enjoy the episodes, including the majority.
Enjoyed watching it.
We enjoyed watching it. We enjoyed the watching experience. I think we wish we could have seen a little bit different direction that they went down with the story, but that's a personal preference sort of thing. And I think in talking about like moving forward, we don't really want to touch too much on the serial killer aspect and Amber Brayburn's character and the DID sort of thing, because we can't speak on that. So I think we're really just gonna like focus on Maddie, like what that meant for Maddie's
it's character analysis of our main characters, and she's not a main character, so you know we're not doing character analysis on Tommy Kennard either.
We can't do that.
What character? Sorry.
Okay.
I'll see
anyway,
myself out.
Now that we've gotten some general stuff out of the way, we're gonna dive right into our season themes.
Yes. So I think this really carries through what we've seen so far. One of the biggest themes of this season is children in danger.
And we hate it, thanks.
We hate it, but we keep seeing it. And it makes us so nervous for what's going to come next. ... Yeah, so we see more children in danger, especially with the young girls being taken by the Weepy Voice killer. And yeah, that was that.
Then we also see parents being present and absent. We see Eddie going back to El Paso for Chris. He leaves at the end of 10. And we see Maddie literally go missing, and no one knows that she's been taken for a good portion of that episode. So they think that she has left again. And
then we also see, kind of in that same vein, difficult goodbyes, which is a little bit of a newer theme, but I think is pretty apparent with these two episodes, because we have like Maddie writing a letter to G to kind of like explain what happened, that it wouldn't be G's fault or anything like that. That was heartbreaking in and of itself. And difficult goodbyes, of course, between Buck and Eddie, because Lord knows that wasn't easy for either of them.
No.
Or us.
Or us.
Especially us.
It's so true. We'll get into that later. Obviously, I mean, I think this is a theme for the series as well, but the unresolved question mark traumas being brought back up again. We see that a lot, especially with Maddie's storyline, harkening back to her postpartum depression. We see traumas about Buck feeling abandoned. Shocker. I think even Eddie, like, having to go back to Texas and trying to be a father, and also Chimney with the unresolved traumas of what happened when Maddie took herself to Boston. And then also more masks. We love a theme. We love the masks theme, but I kind of thought in this case it lent more a little towards like masks as in like being misled. So like Buck and Eddie putting on these masks of behavior, of being fine. I'm fine. Which they were doing to protect each other.
Right.
And then Amber hiding behind that voice modulator to mislead Maddie and Athena and everyone into thinking that it was a mail caller, all of that stuff. And then, of course, belonging, or being where you belong, or fighting to get back there, which is, I think, a lot of where that tension is with Maddie's fighting to get back to her family, Eddie fighting to get back to Christopher where he belongs, but also like feeling between two worlds because he belongs in LA, but he belongs with Christopher, and all of that as well. Oh, and also Blaze belonging to a home or finding a home.
Okay, and then just a couple little things about behind the scenes about production. So I think a lot of us noticed there was a wardrobe inconsistency
between 9 and 10.
10.
Even though it's supposed to take place just after, or 10 picks up just after, you know, Eddie's goodbye dinner, and everyone is in different outfits. And and I think we were like, huh? A little bit.
Well, they were like in the preview or stills or something. And we were like, oh, maybe there's like a day in between this, or maybe they're flashing back. Like, no.
No, it takes place like a couple hours after. So we were a little confused because typically 911 is pretty darn consistent with their visual continuity about stuff like that. I mean, obviously there's going to be goofs and gaffes here and there, but generally, especially like something so glaring as like entire wardrobe sort of thing. So we were talking and thinking about that, and we were wondering, and this is complete like postulation, but it seems like it might line up because this was the first episode that they were filming when they came back in January. And we were kind of wondering if there was something related to being affected by the wildfires during that time. Because I think we saw it was reported by 911 TV News that there were crew on set on like January 7th, which is also kind of when the fire started in LA. So we're kind of wondering if that might have impacted scheduling, writing edits, wardrobe availabilities, kind of anything like that.
Yeah. Any of the things that we talked about in the specific 2-episode arc where we were like, maybe this had something to do with it. Maybe it didn't. It's just here are the dots. Do they connect? Possibly. And then just some notes on the beautiful cinematography in both of these.
Yes.
So good. We're going to kind of get more into it later when we're talking about Buck and Eddie. But like, there's so many parallel shots to other episodes that are like insane. It's crazy. But specifically, all of Maddie's stuff, like when she's kidnapped.
Oh my gosh.
Is so good.
Incredible.
Yeah, the cinematography and the soundtrack.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, that really set the scene and made it literally kept giving me goosebumps. Like every time they had the like creaky like nails on chalkboard stuff.
Like the sound
when
design.
She was talking to Chimney. Yeah.
Oh, that was
it was gross.
Creepy. Like we had physical reactions to that.
Yeah.
And I think too, like also to have right out the gate, we had Brad Bucher doing 809, who has been with the show since the pilot, like literally directed the pilot. So he is so familiar with the language of the show, and I think can probably refer back to so much.
Yeah.
And then having Jennifer Lynch do 810, and Jennifer Lynch did all of the Begins episodes, and just like such a strong director. Like both of them are such strong directors. I think we were in like some of the best hands here. Everything with the direction, the cinematography, the sound design.
Yeah.
So effective, so on point. It gives us a lot to think about, a lot to chew on.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I guess that leads us to our character highlights, which, I mean, spoiler alert, guys, this is the buddy system.
If you didn't know, now you know.
If you didn't know, you've tuned into the buddy system. And while regular episodes, we make sure to focus, the proper amount of time on any character who has a big arc in that this is a very buddy heavy episode. So we're going to talk about Maddie. We are. But this is mainly going to be buddies.
It's kind of going to be two conversations, right? We're going to talk about Maddie and what it means for her.
And the horrors.
And the horrors that she has been and Chimney have been put through. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to talk about the rest of it. So like we are going to talk about all of it, but like they're going to feel like very separate conversations.
Yeah, and we just have a lot more to say about Buck and Eddie. So anyway, this is just your warning, which I feel like I've given 2 recordings in a row.
I mean, it is called the buddy system. I feel like that is your warning.
That is true.
I think we're the buddy system, but we talk about everybody else too.
That is like going fork founding kitchen.
I know it is. So Maddie, going through it in these 2 episodes. Oh boy. What starts out as just an innocent call, one may think, turns into a whole thing.
She is just trying to mind her business, and she gets herself wrapped up in something again because she actually can't mind her business or just do her job. We love her. We love her for it.
She's great at her job, but sometimes she goes above and beyond.
She's great at doing other people's jobs too, like detective work. And that's what gets her in trouble here. So she answers a call that she initially thinks is someone who's gonna
self-harm.
And
then realizes that it's,
oh shit, no, this is a potential kidnapping. And that call is extremely stressful. She has to bring up her own trauma with Ji-yeon because like she just has this endless well of empathy for people. So she digs deep to like find empathy for, a killer.
To try to almost like negotiate with them because it develops from just like a self-harm situation or potential to like an active like kidnapping.
Well, yeah.
Worse. So like she kind of takes on this role of negotiator, not even negotiator, but she's trying to find a way in to this caller to get them to not do that. And that brings up all of this stuff that she has had to deal with herself and kind of gains and loses the trust of the weepy voice caller at the same time. And that's kind of what is the catalyst for all of the other stuff that's happening, because Maddie understandably is confused and suspicious about what's just happened because nothing about that call was as it seemed.
I just realized there's a parallel. There's a parallel to episode 1 of season 1 with Abby and Athena.
Oh,
right. With that, it wasn't a kidnapping, but it was a home invasion.
Yes.
Yeah, with the kid.
Yes.
And Abby was like, "This is now your emergency. Like, I'm going to get you out of here." Right. And leads them right to Athena.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's kind of, I feel like, what she was trying to do.
In kind of like a different way, because I feel like Abby didn't necessarily bring herself into the call.
Well, no, that's not how she operated.
No, that's not how she operates. But that is how Maddie operates.
Yeah. And
that's what gets her into some trouble here, because then it starts flagging all of these, red flags. And with the whole investigation, and we get introduced to Detective Amber Brayburn. And then there's a second call with the same weepy voice killer. And they apparently tried calling multiple times to get to Maddie specifically. which is also very interesting because then it really shows that there is a personal connection there, whether that's a good or a bad thing. And then this is the call where Maddie ends up, trying, like telling the caller to slay the monster. Yes. I think because the caller is all like, I don't want to be doing this. And so Maddie is really trying to appeal to that side of the caller, the caller that wanted help and was literally crying and calling for help. So Maddie's trying to appeal to that side of them, but then also it just takes a turn very quickly and she's kind of coercing or trying to convince that person to remove themselves from the equation.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's the weepy voice killer. Well, we know
Amber. Yeah.
Amber brings in Ji Young. And like, it's like Maddie saw red. It's like a different.
Yes. That's how I have to make it make sense. Like in universe is that she was like, hell fucking no. Like she already, was very invested in helping the random girl, but it was like, oh, that I have a daughter and my daughter's name.
Yeah. Which also was like the scariest part. Yeah. So I think you're correct. That switch where Maddie kind of goes into protective mom mode because she knows like that makes her vulnerable and in effect makes Ji-yeon vulnerable as well. So Maddie is like trying to protect Ji-yeon and anyone else by trying to just like nip the whole thing in the bud.
So you would think that they could have or should have taken her off of the call at that point or something. But I mean, that was not going to work based on the fact that
it was an active like hostage situation.
Yeah, because I feel like that's what should have happened.
Also at the beginning of it, they were like, this is all you. And I remember being like, thanks, guys. Because it was already traumatic, like the first time. And now that it's like very obvious that it's not a hoax, it's like, oh, great. Thanks. This is not triggering for me at all. So then the monster slays himself, allegedly.
I think what we really want to focus on here is like how Maddie is like experiencing what she's saying. Like kind of, it seems to me like she's having like an out of body experience sort of thing.
I think so.
Where like she's seeing herself, seeing the words come out of her mouth and just kind of like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I think a lot of that comes from that protectiveness and empathy. So
and survival.
So it's warring and survival.
And you can see it like when she is meeting with Athena and Detective Rayburn. And the next scene is she's like
beating herself up.
She's beating herself up for what she did just because she's like, I can't believe I did that. But also because she does have empathy for this person because she was like, the pain in this person's voice was real and it was like visceral.
And she can relate to that. Yeah. And that's the whole reason why she said what she did in that first call, to personally connect on that level.
Yeah.
So I think she's feeling it like twofold, right? Because she's feeling it for herself. She's feeling the shame of what she said because she never wanted to do that. Her whole thing is helping people. She wants to help people. She's a little at war with herself because she knows like potentially she could have helped save a lot more people.
Yeah.
And that's just like a really tough thing for her to grapple with. I did kind of love the framing of the shot in this scene where she's up against the window. And it's interesting because it's so backlit. And that has to be an intentional decision because usually like the lighting is so much more even. But right up against the wall, and it's a very like minimal shot, right? It's like her against the window with the light coming in. But on the wall right next to her is a little plaque and it says, "The City of LA Award of Distinction for Outstanding Service to the Community." And I thought that was really interesting framing because as Maddie's sitting there contemplating, what have I just done? She was also helping the community a little bit. So I thought that was really interesting to visual there. So like the plaque says, Maddie's basically too good at her job, which is the whole reason why she gets taken and kidnapped because of how deep she was diving into this, like basically doing all the detective legwork. Like Amber even says, "You're going to put me out of a job." So the whole reason that she gets taken is because she's too good at a job, and Amber is anticipating that Maddie would have brought her concerns to someone because Maddie can't let this go.
Mm-hmm.
And she saw it with her own eyes. So she kind of went in front of the mess, but kind of made more mess inherently.
Mm-hmm.
And so then in 8:10, we see Maddie fighting so hard to escape, to go back to her family, just like in this really traumatic experience. And you see how raw and visceral that Maddie is fighting for this. And one thing that we know is that Maddie is a fighter. Maddie's always going to fight
Mm-hmm.
to get back to her family.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Lizzie's review on Fangirlish of 8:10 really talked about that very well, about Maddie having like her own storyline, not necessarily connected to Buck or to Chimney or anything like that. Like it was a very Maddie focused storyline, and like she was the star. And how strong of a character Maddie is, because she does not stop fighting. And I think we see a lot of that throughout her journey of the series as well. Like, especially Fight or Flight in season 2 with Doug. Like, a lot of this harkens back to that. Even as she's fighting so hard to get back, she's pulling out every trick that she can in her repertoire. And she asks to write a note to Ji-Yun to explain why she wouldn't be there. And I think that brings up like a lot of feelings, a lot of thoughts of when Maddie was going through her postpartum depression, and it's very hard for her. But it also kind of shows her growth for how much she's like, I'm going to do this differently and work very diligently, very hard to be the parent that she wants her daughter to have. In this like awful experience, and Maddie's just trying to like get through to Amber to appeal to her and let her go, because there's a part of Amber that didn't want to be doing any of this. So Maddie is trying and using her empathy, which is her superpower, to appeal to her and basically begging for a second chance to regain that trust that they had in the first call. But then when we finally see Maddie fight back the most in like the height of the tension is when Chimney comes to Amber's house. And that is, I think, similarly to when G was mentioned, a switch flips for Maddie.
Yeah.
And it's that protective, fighting for the people, not only for herself, but fighting for the people that she loves. Because that's when she turns and she and Amber have this like combat where, you know, the scariest moment I've ever seen on television happen. And still Maddie's fighting. Like, she will not give up because she wants to protect Chimney. She wants to fight for her family. She wants to fight for herself.
Whoever tweeted that was the most metal thing anyone's ever done on 911.
I mean, it kind of is.
Like her crawling up the stairs, like while she's actively, quickly bleeding out to protect her husband.
And it's interesting, too, because there was a little bit of foreshadowing in like that second call where the weepy voice said like, you know, it takes like 10 minutes for someone to bleed out with a terrible with a slashed jugular sort of thing. Ooh. And so I'm like, oh, I didn't catch that the first time around. Interesting that is, you know, it's breadcrumbed in there for us. But Maddie is just like, that adrenaline is going and she is doing everything in her power, and probably even more so. And just totally like bonks Amber with the hammer. Good for her. And she just like, incredible work. Never gave up. Also, like a shout out to Chimney throughout this whole like ordeal, because he never lost hope or faith in Maddie, even when all of the evidence and the odds were stacked against him and Maddie. And it was like, it looks with all of that evidence that she just ran away. And he's just like, no, I know my wife. I know Maddie. She would not do any of that. Something is wrong. And I'm going to figure out what it is. So he's also like fighting for Maddie in the way that he can, like just as much as Maddie is fighting for him and their family and each other.
You know, the first half of the episode, Chimney did frustrate me. But I mean, it's because like unknowingly he was like telling Amber all the things about Maddie that he probably shouldn't have.
Oh my God. He's too trusting.
Yeah. And then he turns his back.
I was like, you didn't learn anything from the last time?
I know.
You didn't learn anything from that?
Like, we've seen this before.
Oh, him turning his back?
Yeah.
On the phone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think he did it because, like, she was like, you have to keep a straight face in Chimney.
Cannot keep a straight face.
No, he can't.
He can't even make his voice sound convincing.
No.
So, like, robotic and, like...
oh, no kidding.
My God.
I can't right now.
But the fact that he went there alone, the fact that they all let him drive, shame on everyone.
I know. You and I were like, surely someone, Buck especially, has to go.
Yeah. We were like, the motto is take a buddy with you for a reason.
This is specifically for Chimney. Always take a buddy with you.
He can't be unsupervised.
No. He is too trusting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like it's a pro and a con for him because he is trusting of Maddie and that's what makes him correct about the whole thing. But he's also too trusting and he's like he put his trust in the wrong person, but like so did everybody. And it's just they're just perfect matches for each other.
And then we get the very sweet scene with them at the end where she's out of surgery and
it's a boy.
The baby's okay, which I was so worried about. That was like my number one fear going into this storyline, that she was going to lose the baby.
I was like, they can't do anything. 911 is not that kind of show.
I was hoping not.
Yeah.
I was super scared. But yeah, so there is a parallel here, a parallel shot and parallel reaction and circumstance, I guess, really, to in Fight or Flight when she says Chimney's alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same as her saying like the baby's okay or like it's a boy.
Yeah, that was really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think so much of this episode for Maddie was, kind of like bringing up these past traumas that we saw with Doug, that we saw with her postpartum and her, and just like the entire emphasis. And I think the reason these were brought up again were to show like she is a fighter. She is going to work her hardest to get to where she belongs again.
Yeah.
And she's grown so much like from those instances, like having that in her past, and it's made her stronger for it and even more empathetic, which like didn't think that was possible. But
it's cute that the Buckley siblings, you have the fighter and then you have the one who doesn't give up. Which sounds like the same thing, but they're different.
They are different. Yeah. And then I think it's also really sweet that now that we know baby Han is a boy, it's going to be big sister and little brother, just like Maddie and Buck.
Just like Maddie and Buck.
And I think
love it.
I can't wait to see that. Very excited for the rest of their season.
Are we ready?
Oh, let's get into this. Oh my God.
We're talking about it in a not gay way.
Yes. Oh, I know, but still there's a lot. So
we're not getting, it's not that we can completely remove the gay. We're just not getting into the gay, right? It's going to be a looks directly into camera situation and then we talk about it later.
Yeah.
Because it's like we're rehashing the same things 3 times. So exciting.
I mean, we're looking at it from specifically. No, I know. Buck's perspective.
It's exciting for me.
It's so exciting. We've been so excited.
We are gathered here today to talk about a grown man's mental breakdown. About his best friend moving.
2.0.
Buck's being so normal about this, guys.
He's so brave and so normal about all of this.
I don't think I've seen anyone be like less normal.
No.
He's trying so hard to be normal. It is not working.
He is trying really hard, which is what makes it worse.
Yeah.
Astoundingly bad that he's trying so hard. And what does this remind us of? 704. Interesting. So we leave him off in 808 where he gets the news that Eddie is moving to El Paso. And then we start this episode 3 months later for us. I'm assuming just a couple days for them.
Yeah.
And they're doing what is totally a 2-person job.
Everything with them is a 2-person job.
Totally a 2-person job. He gets jump scared again he's never going to want to look at a screen again in his life.
No.
He's been traumatized twice now.
Twofold in this scene.
He can't stand iPads or iPhones now.
No.
Both of them need to die.
This time, only half of the reason is because of Eddie. The first part is Gerard sent him a Facebook request, which is just like,
hey,
oh.
Buck, why are you on Facebook? You are 32 years old. Second of all, ew. But yeah.
Second of all, ew.
So Eddie jump scares him with, I'm so sorry, an ugly ass house.
It's a fixer-upper, guys.
Uh-huh.
That totally doesn't have...
I'm going to feel really bad. Is the house a metaphor for him?
No, I was about to say it totally isn't a metaphor for Eddie feeling like he is also a fixer-upper, but I was going to say that in the Eddie section, so...
Well, when you think about it, I mean, who's he going to ask to help fix it? Nobody.
Nobody.
He can't.
He's not taking his fixer with him.
Exactly.
Buck has to stand there and be told while working, which I feel is rude because he really can't crash out. Like, he can't be like, oh, I have to make an excuse and leave and go home.
That's probably why you told him.
Probably. But he's like, oh, yeah, here's this house. And he's like, oh, well, that's, he's doing his thing, I think, still subconscious, where he probably, I mean, we didn't see what happened in 808, but I'm assuming that he was like, all of these places are trash. So he tries to pull more of that. And Eddie says, I already put a down payment on it. He's buying a house. And Buck is so normal.
So absolutely normal.
So normal. And he volunteers to help Eddie find a subletter for his home because he just renewed the lease on his home in LA for a year. And he is broke. He's a broke bitch and he does not have money to buy a house in El Paso and continue paying the lease.
Buck is doing the thing where he's trying so hard to be helpful because he knows that's, the way to go, because he can't be pissed off about it.
No,
because that's making it all about him. So the way that he's trying so hard not to make it about himself, and the way he doesn't make it about himself is by being overly helpful.
And unfortunately, his help is not helpful.
No.
As we see
the
home showings, where he really is trying, but
he's
like
so hard.
Things that Buck thinks are endearing because he loves this home.
Like his own.
And he loves the neighborhood and like all the quirks that come with it. Other people are not in love with the person living in it, so they're not gonna see it the same way.
No, because it's like, it really means like so much more to Buck than even he acknowledges, because it's like, not only is this, Eddie's house and it has a lot of character because of all of this, he's like talking about the history of the home is important to him because of who it housed, meaning like Eddie and Christopher. And it's like, it's that story of the house that is important to him. And just like, he thinks it's great and charming and everything like that. And he is sabotaging every single one of these showings, but he doesn't mean to be.
No.
Mm-mm.
It's totally like,
and you can tell that he does not because of who Buck is.
Mm-hmm.
But after each time that he realizes he really fucked up, he's like, ooh. There's a face. That he's like, oh.
Especially after he says like, it's not a chef's kitchen. Oh yeah, what do you do again for work? And the guy says like, I'm a chef. And you see Buck just kind of be like, oh, fuck.
And then he looks at
yikes.
Eddie, and Eddie's like,
stop it. Stop it.
The grimace.
And Buck keeps doing that.
Yeah.
It's almost like foot and mouth syndrome, where he's like, he's trying so hard that like his mouth gets ahead of him, and he thinks it's going to be this helpful thing, but it's actually backfiring on him and Eddie and the people looking to rent the house. And he doesn't realize what he's doing. It's so subconscious because he's just like, I am trying to be so helpful. And in being so helpful, he's pendulum swinging all the other way around to like actively like the least helpful he could be. But the intention is there, and he doesn't really understand why this is happening. Why?
When Eddie is like, you're sabotaging, he's like, sabotage? Like, it's
a surprise
he's
to
not
him.
Trying to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie rightfully is like, get the fuck out. Like I can do this myself. Like you need to go. He says it gently,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
He says, I can handle this on my own.
He does.
And Buck's like, okay.
So he's leaving, forgets his phone, and then hears Eddie talking. And he does eavesdrop a tiny bit because he could have kept walking.
Yeah,
but like,
just grabbed it and go.
to be fair, Eddie was like, please leave. And 10 seconds later started saying this. But he overhears Eddie say that LA was the job opportunity. Texas is where the family is. And he has no ties to LA. And everything that matters is back in Texas.
And you see those words wash over Buck like an arrow to the heart.
Mm-hmm.
He was so normal.
This is where he decided that he wasn't going to try to be normal anymore. Like,
no, he chose violence.
he did. It's just like that. You see how much that hurts him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially
He chose violence in like a passive aggressive way in which it's a lashing out because he's so hurt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a passive aggressive, but also aggressive.
Yeah.
And it's just like, again, I don't think he truly means to be doing the most.
No, a lot of things come out of his mouth before it has been completely thought through in his head.
Processed.
Yeah.
I understand that.
This happens later when like they're at the station and Buck has adopted the dog. Everyone was so shocked.
Totally didn't see that one coming.
So shocked that he adopted the cutest dog ever. But Eddie totally is because didn't hear about it. Didn't talk to him about it. And is just like being actually a normal person. Being like, oh, I just like didn't know that you were going to do that. And he's like, I have to run everything by you now.
Oh my God.
My God.
Like every single thing that's coming out of Buck's mouth is just like, meh, 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 meh. Like,
Yeah.
well, I don't have
Petty
to
jump
Yeah.
out so hard.
It's very, if it's fuck me, then it's fuck you too.
Yeah.
It's really enjoyable to watch. It's so enjoyable.
It's
I
literally
love it.
teenage petulance.
Yes.
Like
Listen, this is the Cancer moon jumping out. And we'd love to see it.
everything comes out. Teenage petulance. Like Buck has never been so down bad and
Crying at the gym,
really
hugging a dog.
which is good therapy, but
Uh-huh.
doesn't fix his life.
No.
No, nothing ever does.
You better fix my life, you little shit. Like that's what he's basically saying to this dog.
He says, this is my new best friend. Isn't that right, Blake? I don't know.
Sabotage.
Yeah. He just continues to say things without thinking it through because he is very hurt by what Eddie said. Is it logical? No, it's not. It's not logical, but Buck's not a very logical person when it comes to his emotions with the people who matter the most to him and feeling like he matters. Hearing that, Eddie didn't mean anything by it, but it triggered a lot of shit
Yes.
in him. And that's why he's behaving this way. And it's hilarious to see, but like really off-putting for Eddie because he's like, everything was fine yesterday. What is going on with you?
What is wrong with you? What did I do?
Yeah. So Eddie's like, you have like your landlord doesn't allow pets. What are you going to do? He's coming at him with logic. And this is pissing Buck off even more. He's like, I have the dog. It's my best friend. I'll move for the fucking dog. Like, what do you mean? I'll do whatever I need to for my best friend. Don't you fucking know that?
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Idiot.
He doesn't. But he doesn't know that. But that's Eddie's section.
And Eddie says, you're going to move for a dog? And he's like, yeah, I will. You're not the only one that can do that, you know? And I feel like that really was supposed to be an inside thought.
It was because you see that like
As soon as he says it, he's like, oh,
yeah, that facial expression. He's like, oh, I messed up.
you done it again, Buckley.
You done it.
It could be taken as his, well, I mean, it is his subconscious sabotage.
Yes.
Because like, I'm sure he was like hoping for like everyone else who actually listened in on that conversation to be like, Eddie, no, how dare you? Because like, it's not going to come from him.
I'm sure in Buck's head, he's like, if everyone else knew that Eddie was leaving they would be feeling the same way.
Mhm.
Like, I wish they knew, but I'm not allowed to tell them. And then he said that comment in his head, but oops, it was out loud. But now he's like, I fucked up, but also, these people are going to be on my side. And they are for 0.5 seconds.
Yeah. And it's giving 801 when he wanted everyone to
Quit.
because of Gerard and hoping that everyone resigning would like pressure like the fire chief to like reinstate Bobby and then nobody
Yes.
does it because they had their own priorities, just kind of like everyone understands that Eddie has his own priorities.
Exactly. It's Buck thought everyone was going to be on his side because he thought they were going to he thought they were all going to feel the same way, and didn't realize like maybe they would understand in a different way because they're all parents themselves. So I don't think that like really, well, obviously none of this factored in to him because it was supposed to be an inside thought, but
Yeah.
But I think he was really kind of surprised at how understanding and how okay they were so quickly with this kind of like bomb drop of news.
Yeah.
And he's like, why isn't everyone upset like me?
Mm-hmm.
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 And I think that also plays into like the whole like him thinking like Eddie's leaving like it's nothing, and everyone else is kind of treating it like it's nothing. And he's the only one that sees how big of a thing this is, and no one else is getting it. And why isn't anybody understanding that this is a huge thing? But he's also trying not to make it about himself.
Yep.
It's just like this like storm of emotion that he doesn't truly understand all of it, like all of the factors going into it.
I think it happens a lot too. Like, obviously we know why this is different for him, but I think it happens a lot because he just feels his feelings his feelings
So
are very
deeply.
big, and he feels them very deeply.
Mhm.
And
They're
for
big
a lot
feelings.
longer than a lot of people, because a lot of people will just feel their feelings and then logic will kick in, and that takes a lot longer for him. Like, he has to put effort into letting logic re-enter his body, and I can relate to that.
Yeah. But
I saw that real time.
I know. Yeah, she saw when we live reacted to this episode. And I was so in Buck's headspace. Or I was like, I can't believe Eddie said that. It was commercial break. I was like, I can't believe he said that. Rachel was slightly less upset than me, but she was like, I know the words that came out of his mouth. And then there was silence. And then Syl was like, in his defense, Eddie didn't know he was there. And I was like, what do you mean?
Oh, yeah.
His defense. And
Syl and I were like, oh, yeah, I understand.
you were
now.
like, he's performing, he's trying to get, and I was like, and it literally only took me 5 seconds. I was like, you're right. I was like, logic has it's re-entered my body. I'm good now. I'm an adult.
But that's the thing, though. Like, Buck just feels emotions very big.
Yes.
Every emotion,
which I get,
is the biggest emotion, and it can only, and there's only room for one emotion at a time.
Yep.
And
right now, the emotion is, well, I mean, I guess it's combo, angry, betrayed.
yeah, I mean, that's betrayed, I think, leads to acting angrily.
Yeah. This leads us to the next scene, which is Eddie coming up to him and saying, teaching him everything you know, which I'm like, I still don't know how to take that line.
I don't
Maybe we'll
either.
address it in Eddie's section and try and dissect it. There are 2 lines in this episode that I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Buck goes, well, he knows how to stay. Unlike some people.
Oh my God.
I feel like Eddie was kind of like letting it go for the most part, except for the like, thanks, Buck, for like telling everyone the thing that he was like, please don't tell anyone.
Yeah. And we'll get to that with like Eddie's side of Eddie's POV.
But he's like, all right, like, is there something you want to say to me, Buck? Where does this take me back to? Where does this take me back to?
What's your problem?
What's your problem?
You're my problem. Well, it's kind of that same vein of like peacocking around, right? Like making himself bigger to like.
Except it's not. Buck looks very tiny and small and caved in on himself on the floor. It's very different circumstances.
He's posturing, like not as physically as
he's
he was.
He's trying to
in
posture
201,
that he doesn't care because he's trying to protect himself because he thinks Eddie doesn't.
Exactly.
So he's on the floor. They try to make him look very vulnerable, like a lot in this episode. So like at the showing, it was like a very soft pink sweater, the white shirt, and he looked very soft, very vulnerable. To have that massive blow, right? And then at the station, he's with the dog and he's hunched over, right? And then he's on the ground for the scene and hunched over.
With both scenes, it's a difference in eye line, and it's always Eddie is standing kind of over Buck, and Buck is just like on the ground, like the lowest place. He's literally
feeling defensive,
the
literally,
lowest he can.
and feeling very defensive. So Buck goes, "No, not really." And I don't know why it's one of those lines. I think that's going to stick with me that I love the delivery. No, not really. No. Because you can tell that he's like, yeah, there is. And Eddie's like, you only want to talk when Cap's not around. Is that it? And he's like, you only want to talk about me behind my back. And then doesn't even wait for Eddie to like ask. He continues like he was just waiting for an opportunity, I guess, or he can't help himself. Right. And is like, I heard what you said to those runners. And Eddie's genuinely confused. What are you talking about? And he repeats what he heard. Eddie says the other line that I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. You were spying on me.
Oh, I know.
And he's like, I wasn't spying on you. And you know what? It's all good. I don't need you either. Because I got Blaze. Yes, I do.
My new best friend.
And then Blaze runs away.
Perfect
timing.
Worst
sequence of like I can't. It just hurts.
Like, as he's in his arms, and just,
this was literally just kicking a man who was already bleeding out.
It was kicking a puppy.
It was. Then he has to say goodbye to this dog, and I'm told that we have to talk about that in the buddy section.
Yeah.
So I guess we're done with that. And I don't really know how to talk about the subletting without that being gay as fuck, because it really is. So I guess that we're moving on to episode 10. Okay, we'll say, we'll very briefly, we'll just say that this is just me. My headcanon was that after Eddie went home, Buck talked to Hen and Chimney and Bobby and was like, okay, I have an idea on how to fix this. Because I think he was trying to figure out how to fix it.
Yeah.
Like as soon as he outed Eddie.
Yes.
He's like, oh no, I have to fix this. Even though he was lashing out and like he doesn't care about me, he was still thinking about how to fix it because that's who he is. That's what he does, especially for Eddie. So I feel like he went to them and was like, I've got this great plan. It's going to fix everything. And they all were just like,
yeah, great idea.
Hat's head. That's great. That's totally normal of you. We can't wait to be there and witness this.
I have to believe that Buck soundboarded this idea to someone before he actually did that, because he externalizes.
To who? To who would he ask, is this a good idea? And they would have been like, yes.
Right, because
definitely
I feel like
not Maddie. Not Hen.
No.
Not Bobby. Very slim possibility, maybe Chimney. He had already decided and done the thing and been like, my idea is that we're going to take him out to the dinner and I'm going to go tell him the thing. And then we're going to take him out for his goodbye dinner. I think this would be the same situation as him with the sperm donation and Eddie with this move where like he wouldn't ask anyone because everyone would be like, that's a terrible idea.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I feel like if he did soundboard, if he did that with Chimney, I feel like this is going a little bit into buddy territory, but I feel like Chimney would be like, yeah, that's a great idea, because I feel like Chimney could be like a romantic at heart and is like,
oh, he is.
And he's going to be like,
maybe he's like, Eddie will obviously be back and then they will be roommates.
Yeah, probably. This is how they get together.
Yeah, I think by soundboard I meant like he decided it and then was going to tell everybody about it instead of like keep it a secret sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what I meant.
So Buck, I don't know how to talk about this without it being gay.
What part are we on?
We're at the subletting. Me. There's nothing about this that is normal platonic.
He's just trying to be helpful in the way that he thinks is the most helpful, which we know by everything else is not necessarily like the most logical thing that he does. So he comes up with this solution that is going to like take care of everything. And it is like a very selfless thing for him to do because he has to get out of his own lease. And and I feel like he probably thinks that it's going to make up for all of the sabotaging and the passive aggressiveness and what Buck does just generally like as a person, not even necessarily like in a romantic sense. He does big gestures. That's who he is. He does big feelings and he does big gestures to show how much he cares. And this is another one of his big gestures because it's like, it's him having Eddie's back in the way that he thinks is normal.
It's not. He would not be doing this for anyone else.
No.
He'd just be helping them find a subletter.
Which he tried to do, but that failed. So he's literally going all in.
He could have continued to help him. Instead, his first thought and first action.
I know. So that's like that's the impetus for like why he's doing it because he's trying to make up for this and he cares so much and he knows it will like help Eddie take a load off his mind.
So, episode 10, Buck continuing to go through it, but now with a missing sister who he's thinking, probably trying not to think, might have possibly left him again.
Yeah, it's like yet another blow to his no good, very bad week. And he is not dealing with it very well. Now on top of the whole Eddie thing, Buck is dealing with Maddie not being around. And that's kind of bringing up some of the past traumas again, twofold of Buck feeling abandoned. So he's already got Eddie saying that he's going to leave him. And now he's dealing with Maddie leaving possibly for a third time.
He's just a raw nerve, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah.
Which explains the truck scene.
When they're they're looking for Maddie together. Absolutely. Yeah. He looks a little crazed.
He's tweaking the fuck out.
Can't blame him at all for that. Like totally understandable. But he is like at wit's end a little bit. It's just like, and also the performance that Oliver gave in that scene is really good.
It is. I'm obsessed with it. Like, we don't get to see Buck and Eddie or Ryan and Oliver portray Buck and Eddie as like super annoyed or like some kind of degree of basically fighting as much as I mean, the last time we saw that was like season 3 for like, we see it we see it in 201 and then we see it in season 3 at the grocery store. So we don't get to see a lot of that. And the fact that like we have an episode dedicated to that pretty much and continuing because we're still following up on that whole situation, that whole storyline. I don't know. It's just so enjoyable. You don't get to see it. It's kind of like, it feels like catnip to me. I don't know what. There's just something about it that I'm just like, give me more.
The tension that Buck and Eddie have in these couple episodes is just it's just so different from what we usually see. And it's just kind of like, oh, well, what's going to happen?
Why?
What's going to happen now?
But yeah, the tension. Yeah, very good. Very, very, very good.
So we get Angry Buck reprise.
Yes.
It starts out totally understandable and normal for what's going on. He's like, things were getting back to the way they were supposed to be. Like, Gerard is gone. Bobby's back. Then I get dumped. And now Maddie's missing or like losing her mind, whatever it is. And you were just moving back to Texas. That's my favorite part.
Yes.
Like it's nothing. Like it doesn't affect anybody else. It does.
Again, the way some of these lines are delivered, it's just like when Buck is really like agitated like this, and I think we're seeing this more lately. Well, obviously, because like Buck is being agitated about things lately. Like the delivery of that, it just feels so lived in. It feels so like true. Like viscerally felt. I think it's also just like generally relatable, but like the way it's delivered, it's just like it feels lived in. It feels like Buck is a real person with little, ad libs in the line with stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. It's like it's Buck dialect, right? Which is so
Yeah.
specific as a real dialect.
So he's losing it because,
Just a little bit.
we're so shocked.
A little bit.
He's not actually all good with Eddie leaving all of a sudden, even though they like hugged and made up the end of the last episode.
Which is kind of interesting too, because, you know, at the end of 9, you know, he said, I'm not pissed. Well, I was, but kind of like now I'm not. And we're seeing
no, there's a part of him that still is, and he's trying not to think about it.
Yeah.
But we did forget to mention this at the beginning of 10, when it's Chimney and Buck coming into the Han residence, and
oh my
Chimney's
God,
like, you wouldn't shut up about it. Like, Buck's like, that's what he gets for leaving us.
yeah.
I thought you were past that now.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. He is so not past that.
No.
That's what he gets for leaving us. Thought you made peace with it. Yeah, I did. I'm taking his lease, aren't I? That's not.
It's not.
That doesn't sound like peace.
Chimney says, yeah, and Freddie Fakeman didn't let anybody forget about it at dinner.
Oh, he's lording that over him.
Yeah.
I think it's also like a little bit of pride and like, I'm such a good friend. I did something so nice for someone.
I'm being so brave right now.
Yeah, I'm being so brave. My tummy doesn't hurt at all.
I'm not angry at all.
And it's that overcompensation a little bit, right?
Yeah. So Eddie tries to appease a spiraling man out next to him, even though he's also a little upset too that they're back at this place and tired. And he's like, it's not nothing. And Buck tries to continue to like be like, no, I know it's not. I didn't mean it. And Eddie's like, no. Basically like, no, we're not talking about this. We'll get into that more at a later time.
Makes note. What is this?
It's hard.
What? Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I forgot about my note. My note for this part that we just talked about was passenger princess tweaks out. I'm hilarious. But yeah, that brings us to the scene that I have dubbed First Day Having Arms. For obvious reasons, Maddie almost just died, and Buck is where you would expect someone to be with his best friend who's moving.
Maybe her visiting hours were full.
Sure, we'll go with that.
The Buckley show up?
Bro,
no, they
don't even
wouldn't
speak that
have.
into existence. No, they were at, it had nothing to do with Ji-yoon, so like why would they be there? And they were already there at the wedding, so they don't care.
Best reason why. That's all I'm saying.
So I don't really, again, know how to go about this scene. Buck is not doing well.
No.
No.
He's kind of like the most emotionally shut down we've seen him, I feel, in a while.
It's like
he
he's
is still
resigned.
expressive, but like he's not fighting it anymore. He's not trying to be combative. He's not trying to be.
Yeah, he's resigned himself to.
He's trying to be supportive, but he's being so fucking awkward. He's being so awkward.
I think it's because he's voiced his uncomfortability with the whole situation and how not happy he is, and he's still trying to put on a brave face, but that brave face, that mask, is cracking more and more, and it's just like kind of in shambles. But he's just like, he knows that there's nothing he can do about it because like this is Christopher.
I think the TLDR here is that he is trying to be supportive.
Yeah.
As long as he can, which is not much longer. And he's trying to kind of like get through it because he needs Eddie to leave so that he can break down, because he is being very strong and brave for Eddie.
You know what that's also kind of giving? And it may be because we just watched it with 303. Like the moment Eddie and Christopher get reunited at that field hospital.
Right.
And that is when Buck allows himself
to feel it
and to just like let all of the emotions and the exhaustion like wash over him.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it like off screen, like once that truck turned the corner, in a puddle in the rain, just crying.
Yeah.
Like he's waiting to let that like fully release.
Yeah. And Eddie does take the time to try and reassure him for what Buck overheard him say that he didn't mean, which is just that you matter to me, which is obvious to both of them. But like he felt the need to say it. And I'm sure Buck still appreciated hearing it, even though he's like, yeah, I know. He Han Solos him. Which is so unlike Buck, actually, because I don't know, it was just so un-Buck-like, the way that he kind of reacted to that. Because normally, like,
it's very
I hope you know you do matter to me. Yeah, he'd be like, you know, it'd be preeny.
Me? Really?
Me? You matter to me too, right? Didn't say that back. He just said, I know.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, I don't know. He's not doing well.
They just basically are an opposite of each other right now. But I'm sure we'll get into it more.
I was just going to say really quickly about Buck not saying, you mean a lot to me too. It's the, I know. That, because and maybe this goes back to like 201, where it's like, you can have my back any day. Or you know what? You can have mine. It's that very like mutually reciprocal thing in their relationship that always happens, right? They're always having each other's back. I think that Buck feels that with Eddie leaving, Eddie can no longer have Buck's back, but Buck can still have Eddie's back, which is why he's doing the subletting and everything like that. But there's no reason for like Eddie to have his back anymore. So like Buck is, I'm talking myself into circles here. He says I know because it doesn't matter because he can't have his back from 800 miles away.
I think he doesn't say it back because that's been made obvious. Like he basically said that in the last episode.
Oh yeah.
Also, there are definitely things brewing underneath there that he's
can't say,
trying really hard not to look at and not say. And then I think also there's something lurking in the back of his brain that's like, for now, I matter to you for now. Like, how long will it be?
Yeah.
Until I don't.
It's just like everything else.
Yeah.
For him.
Because he thinks Eddie
isn't coming back.
Is gone.
Isn't coming back?
Yeah. Yep. So, and his experience with long distance relationships, whether familial or romantic,
not great.
Terrible.
No, bad track record.
Don't think he is going to be doing great.
Nope.
No. We see him this week.
Oh my God.
We open Eddie Diaz making another split decision without any input from anyone else. Shocking.
Again. Potentially ruining his own life. Again.
He's definitely not soundboarding.
No, well, he never does, is the thing. He's very like internalized, and he makes those grand sweeping decisions without any input. And that's why he gets into all of this trouble, because he should.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite, right? It just doesn't work out for him.
No, it does not. So yeah, he puts a down payment on that
really ugly ass house
that he's never been to, which is just dumb. It's so dumb.
It is a terrible financial decision. I actually would like
really
to have a conversation. One has a bad credit score and one just doesn't have any more savings.
Yeah. See, I don't think Buck's broke. I think he just has bad credit.
Yeah, I'm kidding. I know. But I really do kind of
think they are bad credit for bad credit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
More specifically, bad credit for bad credit.
Eddie's had terrible credit at least since season 3 when he bought that truck.
Just he makes terrible financial decisions.
Yeah.
In addition to regular decisions.
Well, yeah.
So, but I do think, they're showing us the picture of this house. They say, in the dialogue, it's a little bit of a fixer-upper sort of thing. It is absolutely a metaphor for Eddie and him thinking that he's a fixer-upper and that he doesn't he can't afford, but like taking that out of the conversation, but like that he doesn't deserve like a good house, right? Because he's worn down. The thing is, with a kind of rundown house, it requires a lot of work put into it Eddie doesn't really put that much work into himself because that would require seeing like a therapist.
No.
So it's like, would he really be like working on the house and working, but also maybe it's a metaphor for like him working on his relationship with Christopher.
With Chris? Who knows?
So,
we'll see.
Maybe that's the more optimistic way to look at it, where it's like it's kind of run down, but he's going to fix it up and he's going to make it better. I made it happy again.
Funniest thing they could do, just really quick. They won't have the house be haunted or something.
Wait, no, that actually would be the funniest thing ever. Can we have a fic like that, please?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, and his like does not believe, is not superstitious at all, is like keeps trying to like find logic. And Chris just flat out refuses to be at that house.
Incredible.
Anyway, so I can't believe this man. I know he's moving back to El Paso and already made that terrible decision, but he was like, a house only 10 miles from my parents.
Ooh.
And was like, yes.
Exactly what you
Purchase.
know.
No. I love my parents. They're good parents. I don't want to live 10 miles from them.
I mean,
they'd be over all the time, uninvited.
Really,
my business.
Really, I think it's less about. I mean, it's obviously less about his parents, and it's about Christopher.
About Chris.
It's
because I
10
don't think
miles
Chris is
from
going to be
Chris.
living with him. Yeah.
No. But this gives him an opportunity to be as close as he can to Chris.
Sure, there were
still,
no
like,
Airbnbs close.
But it's still like he would be looking on the outs, like looking in from the outside with that. So like, what is this really accomplishing, Eddie? Okay.
But anyway, so he's telling Buck about the house because like Buck is his hype man. He was thinking he was going to get hyped up, but instead he got roasted. But then, Buck is the fixer and offers to help him like find a subletter. And he says, I don't know what I'm going to do without you. Neither do we.
No, I'm so sorry. Y'all
Crash and burn. Even more.
My thoughts exactly.
Literally
burn. Just like they are so codependent, and Eddie is saying this. He also doesn't realize like how this is affecting Buck. I don't know what I'll do without you. Meanwhile, that's like the worst thing that Buck could hear.
Yeah, Buck is probably hearing like a figure of speech, and Eddie's like, no, I literally don't know.
Exactly.
Eddie's reaction, the entire sabotage montage, hilarious, progressively so, more and more hilarious, giving Mary behavior. And
yes.
Well,
yeah, huh?
Everyone who came into that place was like, wow, one of them just really doesn't want to move.
They all thought they were married.
Absolutely they did. There's no way they didn't.
Nope.
And neither one of them felt the need to clarify
what
people would absolutely assume. Anyway, I don't know what else to say. His facial expressions are fucking hilarious.
So
and he
funny.
is like, literally, what are you doing? And Buck legitimately doesn't know. And he's like, okay, there's about to be one less character. Please leave. You're leaving.
But he still does it like gently.
I know.
Because
yes, in the fond way that he does with Buck.
Because
right?
he still understands that like Buck may not fully be aware of what he's doing. So like he does call it out. He's like, you're sabotaging it. And when he realizes Buck doesn't know that he is,
legitimately doesn't know.
He's like, okay, well, I can. It's another one of those moments. He says, I can take care of it myself. He still is like gentle with that. He's just like, listen, I know you're trying to help. You got to go at the moment. Like, can't deal with it. Like, I can't deal with this right now. Please leave.
He's anxiety because he's anxious. He needs to get to his kid. And he also is like, I cannot afford both of these places.
Yeah.
And he's currently paying for both because he put a down payment on the other place.
Is this the only time that Buck gets thrown out of Eddie's house?
Yes.
Interesting. Because he's not a guest.
No. And he doesn't say, get out of my house.
No, he's just like, please leave.
I can handle this myself. He's reassuring Buck and himself that he can do it.
Going back to that moment where, at the showing and Eddie says like, no ties here. Everything that matters is in Texas. And it's like, he doesn't actually mean that. He was saying that to get people to like buy the house.
Yeah.
he
also, small talk. What is he going to say to them?
Right.
Yeah, I have to move to El Paso because my son is there, and he left because he caught me doing something with the doppelganger of his dead mom. Eddie's not going to say that.
Yeah, that would be like absolute red flags. This guy's crazy.
That
would
would not get the
public
sale.
knowledge.
No.
I know. It's like that would not get the sale. He is literally doing everything he can to just like get someone
Also,
to
he
get
can't even give them
the
like
house.
a TLDR version of the truth without like oversharing
And
or
sounding
making people
insane.
think that he's
Yeah.
going to come back.
Exactly.
Because he's not going to be like, well, I moved here and found a family and a home for the first time ever. But now I have to go back to Texas because that's where my son is. And I don't want to.
I know.
What do you think he's going to say? So, but you know, Buck doesn't think that way because he doesn't think logically. Same. And also, I forgot to mention this in Buck's section, but like, it's not just like the PTSD, like in getting triggered from like the childhood trauma shit. It's also the RSD, rejection sensitive dysphoria with the ADHD, where you take any perceived rejection, and it
gets
is
very big.
physically painful.
Yeah.
Literally physically painful. And you can't let go of it, and you can't like logic it away.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. And
Yeah.
And I think again with Eddie saying that, you know, no ties here. He's doing that Eddie thing of his where he just like puts on a mask. He puts on a performance. He, you know, it's a facsimile of what he truly feels because it's going to benefit him in the long run. So he is utilizing that performance, that mask, in order to get like the goal that he needs because
which is to get to Christopher. So poor Eddie, man.
I know.
This man is just trying to hold his shit together.
He's trying so hard.
And then he walks into work the next day and his best friend's being so fucking weird. And he's like, I mean, like, if Buck is your best friend, you're like, you probably just let a lot of stuff go until a certain
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's why he was able to let like the sabotaging thing go and
well, yeah, but like the behavior the next day at the station, he's still letting it go
until he's met with so much hostility.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've been replaced by a dog.
By a dog. Never thought I would see them write a storyline where Eddie is jealous of a dog. Here we are.
You know, it's kind of only when Buck is, you know, doing that passive aggressive, but actually like aggressive thing that that petty Eddie and sassy Eddie kind of come out a little bit. Because he's just like, I don't understand why you're taking this tone with me. Yeah. Like,
well,
what did I do to you? What did I do?
Yeah. So it comes out, aren't you not allowed to have dogs? What are you going to do? Then it just, you know, it escalates as we mentioned. And then he gets outed. And he is rightfully upsetty. Spaghetti.
Spaghetti. I'm going to see myself out.
He asked Buck not to tell anyone. And Buck
blurted
did the one thing he was like, don't tell anyone until I'm ready. And he did it. So it did end up working out in his favor because it was, you know, like he said, like weight lifted off of his shoulders because he wasn't holding that secret from them. I think he probably thought that he was going to get met with some resistance.
Yeah.
Which is why he didn't
want anybody else
to know or run it by anyone. But instead they were all like, after initially being like, no,
you
can't leave. I have to go where my son is thriving.
They're like,
we totally talked about it. And they're like, of course you do. Of
course
you know? And then they hug and support him because they're family.
Yeah. And I think he really does realize like what he has to leave. He's pulling up his big boy pants and just trying to nose to the ground and do it.
I gotta talk about this line. Oh my God, you were spying on me. What? It literally, I counted the seconds. It was like 10 seconds after he was like, please go. What if Buck had to use the bathroom? Like, what if literally anything, he forgot his phone, happened?
And I think that, yeah, because it's a weird line it's funny
Why didn't they just say eavesdropping? Like, I mean,
because Eddie is on the defensive. Like he's already a little, put off by Buck's decision to get the dog and him spouting like, oh, he's my new best friend now. Da, 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 da. So I think this is Eddie kind of acting out a little hurt and being like, how he kind of does with that like little scorpion stinger. Like he tries to hit where it's going to hurt sometimes. I think that's what he was trying to do here, but it didn't really land.
okay. Well, I feel like yes, I see what you're saying, but like, I didn't think it was really to like hurt him. I think it was just kind of like,
I think it was a deflection.
Yeah.
I think it was a deflection because for a millisecond, you can see, oh shit, like cross his features, I think, in between the being like, literally, what are you talking about? Confusion to him saying that, like to Buck telling him what it is that he said, and then being like, oh my God. But in between that, I feel like there was before he did the, oh my God. And then you were spying on me. So I think I don't know, maybe in his head, he was like, why would he be upset about this? This was a totally logical thing to say. Oh, wait, right. He is not a logical human being. But like, maybe it's because he's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to talk about my fucking feelings now.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think it was a deflection.
Let's talk about my feelings now. And I've been doing everything I can to avoid doing that.
Well, and I mean, we'll get to this part later in a bit, but like, yeah, like he doesn't want to talk about he doesn't want to talk about his feelings because like that's and then it's the whole like it's going to be easier to say goodbye if they're still in that that back and forth, that pettiness.
Yeah.
It's just easier that way. So
you know what? I think you're kind of right, because when Buck comes over later, before he says that he's Freddie Fakeman or whatever, Eddie is like, if you want to be pissed at me, be pissed off if it makes it easier for you. But I think Eddie is speaking.
It's easier for him.
I think Eddie is speaking as much to himself as he is to Buck, because like if Buck is angry at him, then he has a reason.
Eddie's MO.
Yeah, he has a reason to be angry at himself as well for everything that he's giving up too.
Buck doesn't like to sit in anger, and he doesn't do well sitting in anger.
No.
So I don't think that it was making it easier for him. I think it was making it harder, which is why he stopped being angry.
Yeah, anger kind of passes through Buck, but Eddie's, it's just easier for Eddie if Buck was pissed off at him instead of being helpful. Like,
right, because like that split second, right? So there's that part where before he's like, oh my God, you're spying on me. It was almost like he had the opportunity to be like, no, that's not what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
But he chose to go with He chose to go with, oh my God, you were spying on me, to continue this whole thing, to keep that barrier instead of having to talk about what really is going on between them.
And even what's going on like in Eddie's inner world as well. Because he's trying to, like, just like with everything else, he's trying to repress that as much as he can. Because he says again later, like, I don't want to do this as like much as you don't want me to do this, but I gotta.
I feel like that true, but to your point about that true like Scorpio stinger, that's at the end of this closer to the end of this episode. That's where I would put that.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then Buck says a thing that I think is the worst thing that he's ever said to Eddie, and I don't think he even like meant it. I think it was just Buck trying to like detach himself, right? Because he's like, well, if Eddie's not attached to me, I need to not be attached. I feel like this is the worst thing you could say to Eddie.
Which part?
I don't need you anymore.
Either.
Yeah, I don't need you either.
To the man who literally earlier was like, I don't know what I'm going to do without you. Like actually genuinely meant that. And Eddie's face when he says that,
That's the real hurt coming out there.
Mhm.
Very hurt. But then he was like, all right, well, great. Now we're going to be angry. And that makes this so much easier for me.
It's easier for him
That's
to live
fine.
in that anger.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a good shield.
He doesn't get to respond to the I don't need you either.
Yeah. Because I have Blaze.
Because Blaze runs from Buck to meet its actual owner. And Eddie has to watch as Buck is saying this very, very heartfelt goodbye to Blaze the dog. And he gets to stand there and listen to Buck say, oh, Han, I know you have the lines.
Guess this is it. I know we didn't have much time together, but I will never forget you. And you don't go running off on your people anymore, okay? Because you have no idea how hard it is on them.
Overheard with Eddie just like standing in the back, and it's like, I mean,
if you were Eddie, like, what are you thinking? I'd be like,
it's
damn.
classic projection.
I honestly, okay, I know that the masses seem to think that like Eddie is not feeling this as much as Buck. I don't think his feelings for Buck are on the surface.
No.
But I think that he's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing everything he can to not look at that because he can't, because he thinks he has to leave for Christopher.
And
so that's what he has to do.
And it doesn't matter it never matters what Eddie wants. Even if Eddie desperately wants to stay, he knows that where he's supposed to be, that supersedes everything, is with Christopher.
Yeah.
And that just like takes precedent. It takes priority over anything else. Eddie's wants and needs. He exists for Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the reasons why he's felt so lost throughout this season, because without him, because he doesn't have an identity beyond Chris's father.
Yeah.
And he still hasn't found it.
So I think he has been sad, and he has been doing what he does best, which is just like trying to repress that and put on a brave face. Because, oh my God, if Buck knew that he was sad about leaving,
talk him out of it.
He could talk him out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Buck can talk him in or out of anything.
And this is why he's Elsa.
It is why he's Elsa.
Yeah. Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. Yeah.
Oh, parentified oldest child.
Mm-hmm.
Shocker.
Yes.
Fork found in kitchen.
I think that just made him dig his heels in more to the anger, because
it's easier.
He's like, fuck you, Buckley, for making me feel even more sad about this. And for not, like, I feel like if Buck could have just talked to him like a normal person, they could have had some sort of normal-ish for them kind of conversation where he could have said these things to him, right? Where Buck could have been like, I'm having a really, but that's not who they are, right? But that's probably what Eddie's thinking. Like if Buck had just talked to me like a normal person, I wouldn't have to be feeling like I'm feeling right now, because he would have just said, here are my concerns. And I could have been like, I don't really want to leave, but I have to. You know that I care about you. Right? And then that could be it, because that would be like a classic Buck and Eddie conversation about literally anything else but this.
Yep.
Kind of.
And it's becoming more and more glaringly obvious that they could have these conversations, because they have had these kind of conversations in the past. But the fact that they're not having it is very interesting. And we just continually like don't get enough of like the classic, very Buck and Eddie deep, like heartfelt conversation that they normally do. It keeps getting put off or keeps getting paused because they can't deal with this right now.
Yeah.
Which is
I wonder if there's also a part of Eddie that's like wondering how long it'll take for Buck to like move on, so to speak,
to drop
once
him.
he's gone. Because, you know, Eddie is Buck's person and Buck is Eddie's person, right?
Irrefutably.
They've never said that to each other. I don't think they've ever even said to each other, best friend, you're my best friend. I don't think that's ever happened.
They've said it about each other, I
yes,
think.
but never to each other,
No,
right?
Because
and
that
not
would
even
be
here,
weird.
which would have been a normal thing to say. I hope you would like know that you're still going to be my best friend.
Well,
that would have been a normal thing to say.
Do it.
No,
they can't. Well, they can't say it to each other.
No,
because that would feel weird.
But for the first time, for Eddie to hear the words, I know we didn't have much time together, but I will never forget you. which means something different to Buck than I feel like Eddie is taking it, especially after the context of I don't need you either.
Mhm.
So I don't need you either. We didn't have much time together, but I'll never forget you is sounding very much like you're leaving goodbye.
Like, close the door.
I don't know. That's just me trying to pick up on like Eddie's insecurities.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know Buck's really well. But Eddie has a lot of them too.
It's also easier for him to pull away from that because he's kind of anticipating this Buck moving on without him sort of thing, because Buck has the rest of the 119. Buck has Maddie and Chimney and G and everyone, the rest of his family there to lean on. So like, because if Eddie's not there, Buck's still got everybody else. So I think it is easier for him to lean into the anger to like make that severance a little more like clean cut, because it protects himself too.
I just realized that's the last scene we get of them at the 118 together.
Shut up.
That's depressing as fuck.
Shut up. That's mean. That's a mean thought. I hate that.
I hate that. Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Wow. Thanks.
Again, can't really get much into the Freddie Fakeman thing other than what does Syl always say? Not one thought in that head.
No.
How was he pronouncing it while he read it?
Okay, man. I don't know.
Okay, man.
I was like with an accent on the E, but like, never mind.
That's worse.
I gotta go. Goodbye.
For real, Eddie. Fuck a man, okay?
Bye. I gotta go. I'm gonna go in my trash can now. Goodbye.
Tim Minear, did you do this on purpose?
What? Rachel doesn't think things until it comes out of her mouth.
No, but why did we not think that?
Oh, man. That's going in top 10 buddy system moments.
Why is it always me?
No, anyway, Tim, Freddie Fakeman?
Freddie Fakeman.
Fuck a man?
Fuck a man?
Oh my God. I can't.
Wait, no, Syl, say it with a Spanish accent.
Freddie fuck a man?
See, that doesn't sound as bad. If that's how he was saying in his head.
I kind of do that thing where sometimes I read words and I read it in a Spanish accent. Which is also why sometimes I mispronounce words.
Yeah.
A lot.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Just bilingual problems.
Yeah, he's got bilingual problems. No, straight up. If I looked at that and I was trying to read that in Espanol, I would read it like fuck a man. Fuck a man. Fuck a man. Fuck a man. So true, Tim Minear. Eddie needs to Freddie fucking man.
I believe this is happening.
If that was the intention, that's actually the funniest thing ever. And this was already pretty funny. No, I also don't know or believe that this was probably on purpose. I don't know if this happened to anyone else. But when he said his name is Freddie, I was like, oh my God, they're going to have a man named Freddie move into his place and Buck is going to fuck him.
The Freddie part was absolutely intentional.
Yes.
Okay, so anyway.
Eddie is anxiety as he opens the door to find Buck on the other side.
Eddie spiraling out about that, like, you gotta go, like, I can't, it's so funny.
He's tweaking.
Mm-hmm.
Tweak for tweak. Idiot for idiot.
Stupid for stupid.
Credit score for credit score. Yeah. Like, it is really funny because he kind of like really lets that guard down where he's just like, I can't deal with this right now.
Yeah.
I'm so mad at you.
He has to deal. Buck is there. It's the first time he's ever looked like unhappy to see Buck at his front door.
Mm-hmm.
First of all.
Like the way his face falls. Like,
This is a direct reverse facial swap from 806.
We'll get into that as well.
At the end, we'll get into it later. It's just funny because Buck looks insane. He just had the most passive-aggressive fight with his best friend and then talked to a dog like it was him. And then he shows up just like all smiles.
He's like, I can't wait to tell you.
Yeah, because he's so excited. He's bouncing. He's like, yeah.
You can basically see his tail wagging.
It is in fact wagging. And he's like, I have a man named Freddie coming here and I need you to leave. Like, you just need to go.
It's like, well,
and then Buck makes him talk. Eddie's letting his own anger keep going because it's easier for Eddie
Yes.
to continue to be
Because-
angry, right?
Right. Because he's
even
projecting.
though there's an actual puppy in front of his face wagging its tail. He's like, I don't have time for this. And he gets Buck to talk, but I don't think he actually meant to get Buck to talk.
No, I think he's trying to shut down any talking because it'll make it worse. And it's just easier to have that. It's easier to have that like cleaner cut and like leave than make it more messy.
The more that Eddie knows how badly it's affecting Buck, the worse Eddie feels. And Eddie already feels really bad about a lot of things, but he's also, I think, just sad for himself.
Yeah.
About having to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's like, when you think about it, like maybe it's like that he doesn't deserve because okay, he's already he can tell that, I think he can tell that Buck is not okay. I think he can tell. Obviously. He the guy is not okay right now. But he's also, again, because we keep saying like it would be easier if we can just have that clean cut and have it's easier for him to have Buck angry at him. And it's also, I feel like, a little bit of kind of like punishment on him for him. Instead of like leaving with everything being okay, because at least this way, how do I say it? It's self-sabotage. It's self-sabotage for him.
Yeah,
it is
of the highest degree, which is the only degree he ever does it. But I think it is very much, it is easier for him, not just for him to sit in his anger. It's easier for him to go if Buck is angry at him.
Yes.
He doesn't have to feel guilty.
Yes.
Because he's like, well, if Buck hates me, then I don't have to feel guilty about leaving him.
Because he already doesn't want anything else more to do with me.
Yeah.
And it is interesting too that like Eddie really doesn't let his true feelings about the whole thing out until like Buck has cracked. And that like opens the door a little bit for him for Eddie to kind of like admit,
yeah,
I don't like this as much as you do, but I can't do anything about it.
I will just say that, because a lot of this, again, we're going to be talking about it in a minute here in the buddy section. But I think this is a huge moment for Eddie. Even though Buck has done a lot of things for him. Normally those things are either directly for Chris or like tangentially for Chris. And like Buck says, like, for you and also for Christopher, really it's for Eddie, because it could have helped him find another subletter. Eddie still had another 3 weeks that Bobby was going to
allow him,
give him to, find another person. But this was for Eddie so that Eddie didn't have to worry. That's why Buck did it. He did it for Eddie. And he can't believe that someone would do something that big and that selfless for him. Especially when he's leaving them.
You really see that like wash over his face, like that kind of like disbelief, and how long he takes to process that information.
I feel like it also ties into him not like feeling he is deserving of
absolutely
grand gestures and things like that. And sometimes I feel like some of these like things that that Buck does to help him, like I think some really hit him, and then some kind of just like go over his head a little bit. So it's kind of like, like especially these bigger ones, he's just like, wow, it kind of goes back to, wow, what am I going to do without you, for real? Like,
yes, it's the culmination of all of these things, of Buck trying to be very helpful, but failing at that, and Buck being angry at him and then failing at that. And Eddie's just like, even with all of that stuff, like, why can't you just be angry at me and you're still going to do something like this? That's a huge gesture. And
he just broke his fucking, anyway, he just broke his lease
on
his loft that he's lived in for 7-ish years.
This is very much tied to Eddie's sense of self-worth.
Yep, 100%.
And how low it is in the ground.
Yep.
the
Mhm.
subfloor, if you will.
I would just like to note for Eddie too that he does have the support of the 118 again, and
Mhm.
like they are such a cute family. I love them so much, and he loves them so much. I think it's hilarious that they make people pay for their own goodbye dinner.
That's so in character for them.
It really is. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're leaving us?
You
You're
buy
paying
us
for that."
dinner.
Literally.
This is your fault.
Yeah. The 118 showing up for him, right? In this previous episode, in the next episode, we start with Eddie showing up for them, for Chimney.
For them.
Well, I'm assuming that Buck called him. But yeah, he's there for Chimney.
He's there for everyone, yeah.
Yes. In the truck scene, Eddie literally just shuts down that conversation because he's like, I already like emoted yesterday about this. I can't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And he was running on no sleep. He doesn't like, I also feel like he felt so vulnerable because
of that grand gesture.
Because of that, and because he was so sleep deprived, and because he's now what was keeping him from leaving right away.
Yes.
He was going to be there for at least another 2 to 3 weeks. Now he can leave right now.
Even if he's not ready.
Yes. So, and he's running on no sleep. So he feels like vulnerable. And I feel like he felt like if he opened up his mouth,
something is going to come out.
Something's going to come out. And like, he just really doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So he's just like, yeah, well, we're just going to not actually, it's fine. We're tired.
We're going to close that door and never look at it and put that in a little box and put that in the closet and just like
that
pack it away in the mental
closet
U-Haul.
Is like bursting with too much shit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of those closets where it's like
the
you
door
hear it in
is
the
like
background.
bulging, though.
Yeah, you
It's
hear it in
so-
the background and it's like rumble, and it's like, oh no.
It's a hoarder's closet. Because he's hoarding all of his emotions.
Yay.
But yeah, he does say it's not nothing. He looks really, I think it's like, because normally they understand each other so well without any words or very little words. And I think he's like, how does Buck still not understand how hard this is for me?
Mm-hmm. Because he's not letting his emotions show. And it's like, you really see they are on like separate pages at the moment.
Yeah.
He's just trying so hard to not think about all of it and all of the change that's happening so quickly. And on top of, I think he is also worried for Maddie and the situation that they're in. And it's just like, it's too much. Gotta just like, can't think about it.
I don't know what to say about the fucking U-Haul. Can we talk about the gay stuff now?
Absolutely.
All right. Listen, I'm just going to really quickly go down this list. We don't have to expand. We've already expanded on all of this shit twice. Okay. So now we're just going to
give the buddy spin.
What I'm titling, We're Not Friends, Nor Have We Ever Been. Credit Ed Sheeran. Song that I'll bring up later. Basically, these are the like platonic people would not fucking do this, right? If you were platonic best friends, you wouldn't be doing this. This shit is not normal. Subconsciously sabotaging your best friend moving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Crashing out because your best friend said something normal as small talk with stranger.
So normal.
Acting like a scorned lover.
That is what they do. Both of them.
If you're going to make this about me having to choose between you and my son, literally no one said that. Literally no one.
No one asked you to do that.
Nobody asked you, Patrice.
That is one of like the biggest things to me. I'll just expand on this because we didn't really touch on this that much. Yeah, that is classic Eddie projecting because nobody in any of this has said, oh, you're choosing, you have to choose between like Buck and Christopher. Nobody has said that. Nobody has even said you need to choose between LA and Christopher. You need to choose between the 118 and Christopher. That comes directly from Eddie. And this is when he is feeling vulnerable and this escapes him because he is the only one that's thinking about, oh, I have to choose between Buck and
because that's what it feels like.
Because that's what it feels like. And Buck would also never, ever ask him to do that because Buck knows.
And he knows Buck wouldn't.
And it's like the emotion that Eddie has when he's saying, because you will lose every time.
Yeah.
He knows that's a factual statement. He knows that's true, like to his bones, but he doesn't like it.
So I kind of take it to mean I feel like I'm choosing, and no matter what I choose, I'm losing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Not, oh, you'll lose to my son. Like, no shit.
No, I'm the one that's losing because Eddie, one, can never have what Eddie wants. And what Eddie really, truly wants is to have both of them. But he can't have that. So then he just loses.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's just like literally no one said that. That is all from you. That's wild. I love that line.
Insane line.
Like that's the line that we've read in like fan fiction.
It's an insane line to put on live television.
I know.
All of our faces when he said that, we were like,
What?
is this really happening right now?
I think that was us, like the majority of 809.
Yes.
Also, go watch our live reaction and see our faces doing something.
They're going through a journey, that's for sure. Again, things that are not normal. Breaking your lease and subletting your best friend's place without telling them, without asking them, without knowing if they've already actually subletted it.
Right.
And this is your like apology for doing the aforementioned not normal things. Why are both of their first reactions to anything
To immediately
big happening?
move?
Well,
We'll get to that.
ask someone to move in with them, or legal paperwork.
Legal paperwork.
This is not the paperwork that they should be actually filling out. There's a different type of paperwork they should be filling out.
But this is setting a precedent. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
we've already had the precedent.
They're just going to get married out of nowhere, but because it's convenient.
They're gonna pull a Bethina. I feel that in my bones. I feel it.
And I just edited 218 where I was like, we need some pomp and circumstance with the wedding.
Yeah.
Like, someone, please. And we're
I just
not,
don't think that
they're
I
not
just
that
don't think
kind
that
of.
the TV studios want to pay for it either.
No.
Maybe they'll do a backyard something instead of a fucking courthouse.
Feels
Who
like
knows?
it would be
Yeah.
a backyard something in the house.
It would.
Uh-huh.
Aw.
A homecoming. But yeah, like breaking your lease and subletting your best friend's place, that kind of large gesture is a romantic gesture.
I would think my friend was in love with me. That would be literally my first assumption. I'm so sorry.
And you know what? You wouldn't be wrong. You wouldn't be
I would
wrong,
be
but
like,
that doesn't
what
even
a-
occur.
I'd be like, that's such
Eddie.
a fucking crazy thing to do. What do you mean?
What are you gonna? So, like, my thing is like, what if Eddie had already like done the paperwork for another subletter? Like, what
what I'm
then?
saying.
What
He
then,
wouldn't
Buck?
yeah.
No logic has ever entered this man's being.
That is a risk.
Yep. He didn't think through anything. He went, well, this is an easy solution. He needs a subletter. I can do it.
I don't care about my loft. It's got bad
No.
memories.
He
Bad
doesn't
omens.
actually.
Hmm.
Never really cared about it.
Alexa, play Bad Omens by 5 Seconds of Summer.
Shout out to all
do.
shout out to all the good omen edits.
Yes.
It's what you do when you love somebody.
Somebody.
Anyone want at ABC put that song in an
Right.
episode?
Then we have whatever the fuck Buck is doing in the Freddie Fakeman scene.
He's preening. He's so proud of himself.
He's like, Eddie is going to forgive me and he's going to love me and he's going to compliment me in a way that is going to make me preen, right?
Gonna make it all better.
When the 118 knock on the door and Eddie turns around and you only see the coverage of him from behind, he's literally bouncing on his
Yeah.
feet.
It's
So
so
excited.
funny.
And he's laughing. He's like, not to make it all about me, but it's me.
me.
What?
It's me. Hi.
Hi.
I'm your subletter. It's me. Like,
Oh my God. But yeah, I don't know. His face, that entire conversation is just, what are we doing?
what are we doing? So true.
And then conversely, whatever the fuck Eddie's face is doing in that scene.
My God, the realization or like the kind of just that face journey is immaculate to me.
Mhm.
The little like very subtle like eyebrow scrunch and twitch and then like tension release of like, oh my God. I think that's the only thing in his head. Like, what? He went into shock like I went into shock watching 810.
Yeah. it's so interesting to watch and compare it to like Buck's first gesture of introducing him to Carla, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like that smile and then the nod, because he does that nod.
Mm-hmm.
He does the nod
Like
too,
the-
but
like
it's
the-
not the smile because he's not happy, right? Because he doesn't want to go, but he is like extremely moved and he like fucking speechless
Mhm.
because he does not know what to do with that.
Choking back tears.
He
He is.
literally,
It really moved him.
Mm-hmm.
if the 118 were not there, he would be crying.
Oh my god, there would be a lot of things that they would be doing.
Okay, please walk me through what you guys think was going through his head when he was like,
Turning
"Oh,
around.
right, people are still there," and then turned back.
I mean,
out. But then was like, and then continued to respond
Yeah.
to the news he just received.
I think it can be okay. There are multiple. I kind of find and fall in like the multiple interpretations realm of this. This is not surprising. I think it could be as innocuous as just kind of like literally physically taken aback, has to like reorient himself in his
Mhm.
space.
Because
Just be
it's
like,
really happening.
Is this happening?
Mm.
What is going on around me? I have to like take stock of like my environment again. Like what?
It's like, am I getting punked?
I think he's like, are you serious? Are you guys in on it?
Yeah.
Sort
Yeah.
of thing. And this kind of like disbelief of like, you guys knew this was happening. What is actually happening? Huh? Like, I think it could be as innocuous as that. I do like the interpretation of like, why are y'all here? Like,
It's giving marriage proposal a little bit. That's what it's giving.
Yeah.
it is a very big, important legal decision.
Huh.
I think for me, a little bit, kind of what I've come around to possibly, because I just can't nail it down. I don't know.
It can exist in like
Something's
a both
happening.
situation.
But like, I kind of feel like, and I don't know if this is just the buddy maxing that he ever thinks about this woman. But I'm like, do you think he
Oh.
thought about Abby
oh,
and was like, you guys let him do this? And then turned back around and went, you did that for me? Because then it adds more weight to it. Not in a romantic sense. You were moving into a place of someone who is leaving you, knowing they're leaving you, and knowing he
Yeah.
already did that. And then it adds way more weight to like what that means to Eddie.
yeah.
Because it already meant a lot. But I feel like if you add that context to it, if he like thought about it even for a second.
I think I really like that interpretation. I honestly don't know how much would be going through his head, like of
Well, at any given moment, nothing.
higher functioning thoughts. I really love if that were the case, though, because it's like, and it may not be exactly him thinking about Abby, but I think what might be a good compromise here is him like knowing Buck so well and knowing that like Buck like has been so attached to his loft for so long, and like maybe Eddie doesn't really understand how much his home feels like Buck's home, because he's like, yeah, Buck's home is
I
the
don't
loft,
think he knows
but
that.
I don't think he knows either. And it's like, and that loft was kind of like a triumph for Buck as a like moving on from Abby sort of situation. So I think in that sense, where it's like Buck gave up his loft, like to Eddie, the loft is Buck's home and
Mhm.
important to Buck. We know that it's not as important to Buck as Eddie thinks it's important to Buck. So I think the gravity of that situation of him giving up the loft is what really like sinks in for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if, and I mean, of course, like eventually with a little more like thought, it would go to Abby and be like,
Mhm.
oh wait, well, he's kind of done this before. That's not great. But I don't think Eddie would be there yet.
Yeah, see, like I feel like I don't want to venture in that thought process, only because if you read it that way, it feels almost like, well, it feels almost negative, because like it's like it's definitely gonna have like a negative effect on Buck already. But I mean,
because Eddie has already seen what Buck was experiencing when he did this the first time.
It just makes it even more of a grand gesture. And what is he gonna say? He already broke his lead.
I know. Like,
and that's why Buck did it, because he knew Eddie would have argued with him.
And
he been like, no, you're not doing that. Exactly. What's he gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also like benefits Eddie. And it's like, well, I can't look a gift horse in the face sort of thing. Are we talking about this U-Haul goodbye scene yet?
So what is this thing that's between them? That's messy and hard, I guess, that they could have handled better. What is that? What do you mean? Why would you say that?
Why would any of those words be strung together in that manner? It's so weird. It's so weird. If this is giving amicable breakup, right?
It is.
Which is I
think like, that's what I said after.
It is. No, but it is. You were completely right, because like if this was like a regular friendship,
been married for 7 years, co-parenting,
right? It's like you get all
they have to get a divorce, even though they still really care about each other.
Buck gets the house, like
in
the divorce.
They still want to be friends, but they can't quite be friends yet, so things are really awkward.
They need space. It's just like if this were truly like a platonic thing, it would be so easy for it to be said like, I know me moving has been difficult for both of us and we could have handled it better. Why not say that? Instead, it's like this whole thing, which expands it from just like the thing about Eddie moving to like this whole thing, their situationship. It magnifies it to their entire relationship in one phrase, because he decided to be vague and not like, me moving has been very difficult.
Thing between us. Hey, Eddie Diaz.
What?
When people are like,
Eddie, no context.
What kind of relationship do you and Buck have? You say, there's a thing between us? Like, what?
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
Oh, God.
Like,
what would have been a normal thing to say here, which would have been, I know that me moving away has been really hard for you, and you know it's been hard for me too, and I just want you to know that you're always going to be my best friend.
And
so
I love
simple,
you.
So easy.
No matter how far away I live. Like, I won't forget you. We're still going to talk.
Yeah.
Even I would say that, and I hate talking about feelings.
Right?
Yeah, because that is a normal friend moving away, like best friend moving away thing to say. Why then make it so vague, right?
Because they can't call each other best friend without feeling nauseous.
Yeah.
For some reason.
They're like, that doesn't feel right. Why does it not feel right?
Exactly. It's like they can say,
doesn't encompass all we are.
That's the thing. Like, that's such a small title for them. Like, even like partner is a small title for them. It's just like they can say, oh, he's my best friend to everyone else. But if they say it to their face, it's like, why does this not feel like it should feel? And they are not going to like look at that. And it's just like also the way that like they didn't say, I'm gonna miss you, I love you, which is a normal thing that platonic friends do. I don't like whoever you are.
The fact that they've never said I love you to each other is actually so gay. I'm not saying that all platonic male friends say they love each other, right? No. But they express it. These are two fairly vulnerable, like emotionally vulnerable men, right? And they're millennials.
You'd hear an I love you, man, or an I love you, brother.
Exactly. Like one of the most perfect examples I can think of is Sean and Gus from Psych. They are very codependent on each other, but it's so platonic. Like there's no question about it because they express that kind of feeling like, I love you, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is totally different. So when we're talking about like male friendships and we're not talking about Buck and Eddie because that's different. They don't say that because if they voiced that stuff, it would feel weird and wrong. Words cannot cover it.
And saying I love you would feel too close to something.
And that's one of the reasons why they avoid that.
Yeah. thing between us is messy and hard. But this stuff could have handled it a little bit better.
Also, like, euphemistically, which I feel like they keep doing.
But I hope you know you do matter to me. Also, weird to say, actually. I know that he's following up on
With what Buck said.
Buck overheard. But I hope you know that I didn't mean what I said. I hope you know that's not true. I hope you know that, like, you're my best friend. You're really important to me.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you know that you do matter to me. It's giving. You act like you're expendable, but you're not.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
Absolutely is. It's just like the whole, again, it falls back on this vague language because they can't voice what it actually is because they don't really truly know what it is. And it's just like, but by making it more vague, they're also making it bigger, right?
Yeah. Right.
So what do you do with that? It transcends all of the typical boxes, right? It's just like, it's so much bigger than best friendship, than work partnership, than everything. So it's like, what are we left to interpret that as? It's just bigger than everything. And what is like the biggest thing?
Eddie says Chris and I are always a phone call or FaceTime away. And I don't know why that feels like some sort of foreshadowing that they're not going to be actually talking a lot. And then they just forget that they've ever had arms or bodies or a 7-year-long friendship where they've hugged numerous times.
That is the most awkward exchange. Purposefully. And it's also purposefully
the whole time
awkward.
they're doing this, they're standing so close for no reason.
In the rain.
There's an entire street. There's an entire street. Yeah, I don't know. It's just so awkward.
It is very awkward, and it's purposefully awkward. And it was acted that way. And it's really interesting too, because you have like both of them fidgeting. And I mean, we know Buck kind of like fidgets all the time, but he's like very visually, he's like scratching his arms. Eddie doesn't fidget generally.
Oh, except when he's extremely nervous.
Except when he's extremely nervous, and specifically nervous about telling Buck something. We saw this in 808 when Buck was like, what you looking at, Eddie? And Eddie was telling him that he was thinking about moving to El Paso, and he's fidgeting with his hands. He hardly ever does that because that breaks the facade that Eddie, walks around with, right? And to have Eddie do like that weird, like arm swingy clap, like, well, this is it. They're stalling. They're stalling because they don't want to say goodbye because that is like the end of a chapter for them. And but it's also because it's so much more than just them saying goodbye to their best friend. They are and this is where you really see, I think, that they are on the same page here because they don't want to leave each other and they are delaying the inevitable. And it's so awkward and it's so funny.
And it's crazy that they are in clothes that are similar to what they were wearing in 201 during their confrontation at the gym. So kind of like what we're saying, it reads like a breakup or an amicable breakup. It's like
a lot of tension.
Yeah, it also feels like a goodbye to their. Yeah, I mean it's a goodbye to their friendship as well.
It's a goodbye to the dynamic that they've had for 7 years. Nothing will ever be the same again. I guess kind of like the last thing in the "we're not friends nor have we ever been" section is this quote from a Mr. Tim Minear from an article from TV Line where the interviewer says, like, Minear insists that he doesn't purposefully write Buck and Eddie to sound like an old married couple. It's just who they are. And here's the quote. "That's just the way I've written them from the beginning," he says. "I just kind of stopped trying to fight it. Buck was petulant and jealous the first time he saw Eddie. By the end of the first episode that he's with him, they're like best friends. That's why I say your mileage may vary. The story that you're seeing on the screen is the story, but those characters have evolved." You heard it from the man himself. He stopped trying to fight the characters trying to be what they wanted to be. And he just like let them evolve in this organic fashion. And this is what we get, which is not platonic bros. Yep. Like, it doesn't get any like more clear cut to me than this. It's like, yes, they sound like an old married couple because they are, because I've written them that way. And I am no longer fighting it.
Yeah.
To try to keep them apart in that fashion. Like, it's coming. I just wanted to drop that in there from the guy.
From the man.
The guy in the chair.
All right. This leads us to, I think, our longest segment ever of parallels and symbolism.
There's so much.
Again, you can thank Tim Minear and co for this because they fucking went insane.
Any longer running show is going to have more depth to pull from because of how long it's been going on. So like just in general, like that's how we pull parallels and symbolism. Yeah. But this stuff is so blatant. It's so intentional.
It's crazy work.
This is cuckoo bananas.
There is just so much here that just like makes so much sense. And we don't have to really dive into the archives to like pull these out. It's just like, we saw it. We thought of this other thing. It's readily apparent. Like, so we can't be the only ones who are noticing it. The people who are making the show understand this as well, especially with these legacy directors who like help control a lot of the visual aspects for these, because Jennifer Lynch has been here since like season 2, at least. Brad Bucher, it does like everything.
Yeah.
They know the language of 911. They know the characters. And this also like the writing contributes so much to this too. It's everything. These parallels and symbolism is a perfect marriage of the directing and the writing and the show running and everything, because everything is so intertwined that we can say this is like that, which leads to that.
I think we said 2 season 8 specials ago that like there is no more, which could mean nothing. Everything means something. But this, if you were not on board fully with that sentiment before, I hope this section gets you there.
Which could mean everything. I think we kind of touched on this, that Blaze the dog is very much a metaphor. I think it can be read in multiple ways. Like, I think the most obvious way is Blaze, like the beagle is a metaphor for Eddie, you know, as Buck's replacement, as Buck's best friend, as someone who is going away and has to go home to his true family. So like Blaze is Eddie in that way, but it can also be Buck, because Blaze we saw at the very beginning with that very Pixar-like opening, like POV dog, like running in the street, which was the cutest thing. Oh my God.
I said it was a Ford commercial.
I do know what Ford commercial you're talking about, actually. So like the dog looking for a home and like being abandoned, because we see like the missing sign. That is very much a stand-in for Buck, right? But also kind of Chris, because you have people who are looking for him and love him. And even Buck at the end where the girl and her dad come back to collect him. He's like, he's very lucky to have people who love him so much. So like in that sense, it's Christopher, because Eddie loves Christopher so much that he's willing to move to go back to him. Buck loves Christopher so much and Eddie that he's willing to like take over Eddie's lease, so Eddie doesn't have to worry about Christopher. Like,
I think the Christopher one is like actually the one that sticks the most, because he got scared and ran away from home.
That too.
But then he like eventually finds his way back there. Like, that's just foreshadowing. Like, it's
yeah, because it can be read as all three of them. I think it really shows to emphasize how like similar all of their traumas are, with like the finding home, abandonment issues, running away from things.
God,
like, it's
just
all
be a family already.
right? Just like the only way they can heal is heal each other. Like,
right. It's
so go ahead.
Right. It's definitely very interchangeable. You can just put in either character in there as Blaze the dog, and it just fits so perfectly. Like, I was just like, oh, I mean, I knew that there was a parallel to Buck being the dog as well, but like, I'm thinking about the end where the dog finds its way home to the dad Anyway, never mind.
The dad and the kid.
And the dad and the kid, yes.
Yeah. So like that's very Buck coded. It works for literally any of them. I think the most on the page obvious is like the dog is Eddie. But it's like, but it's all of them. And they're all so similar in their hurts. Like we've seen Buck and Christopher relate to stuff with that. And we see Buck and Eddie relate to like, it's just the Venn diagram is a circle. It is all of them at the same time in different ways, like not even in different ways, in pretty much the same way.
Yeah.
So that's the TLDR version of that. Like interpret however you want. It can be any of them.
Yeah.
And the next one. So while Buck is helping the house showings for Eddie, he has his emotional support basketball. And he's holding on to it for like dear life, which is so interesting because Buck hates basketball, but it's also like a visual tie. So like he's holding on to something physically. I think that's helping him like emotionally. He's holding on like, okay, if we're interpreting like Eddie as the basketball, he's holding on pretty tight. I kind of think it's going to be like his Wilson from Castaway. I'm just saying.
It's bringing it to work with him.
Yeah. It's like, so what are we going to do today, Eddie?
Drawing a mustache onto it.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So he has this emotional support basketball through this entire ordeal of sabotaging, which is also funny because the last time we saw Buck sabotage something was the basketball game in 704. So it's in the text of Buck's actions of sabotaging, but also visually with the basketball, it's bringing us back to 704. The last time he sabotaged, the last time a basketball was involved, which again was all about Eddie. So it's also kind of interesting too, because we know from an article or an interview that Oliver gave, I think when he was doing that celebrity all-star basketball game, he did mention that they are going to be revisiting 704 and Buck's feelings about stuff like that. So I think that was a great visual tie-in to kind of like lead us back to like, oh, that's in the back of our minds. Basketball, sabotage. Yes. Buck bothered and bewildered. So interesting.
Slowly but surely, ever since the start, I would say since like the end of season 7, I would say probably, Eddie's house definitely had less pictures around, especially on the mantle, than what we see now. And it's like slowly but surely, there have been more pictures of the Buckley Diaz family filling up the mantle and then other areas in the house. And it's really like pictures of the three of them or pictures of them three with maybe a little bit of the extended family. And it's like starting to become like, I mean, at this point, we should have seen that as foreshadowing Buck like moving into Eddie's house. There are now more pictures of Buck, Eddie, and Chris in the Diaz house, the Buckley Diaz house now.
It's like Buck has already been taking up some of the space in the house to begin with because he also belongs there and has belonged there longer than just taking over the lease.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's starting to feel like it's his too, basically. And like all of these little memories that are scattered in there. And I don't know what's gonna happen when Eddie comes back. I'm kidding. I do know what's gonna happen. Let's be real.
And they were roommates.
Yeah.
First of all, incredible. We have Billie Eilish money now. Smashes glass, another. I can't believe that they used this song. I know that it sounds very somber.
Yeah.
But like, this is a very like romantic like breakup song. Lyrically, and I'm so big on lyrics with things. So like I know that the lyrics do not always fit where a song is playing in a soundtrack. It's more, I guess, for normal people. To just like it's a tonal thing, right?
Yeah.
To set the tone. It did its job with that, for sure. This happens when they think everything's resolved with Maddie's thing after she talks a man into, but not really, actually, right? So this super weird fucking lyrically to play for that, but I was like, oh my God, is this fading directly into the Buddy scene? The next Buddy scene we're getting?
Did it? I forget.
It did not, because we cut to a commercial, but it would have.
Commercials.
But like, I've seen so many Buddy edits to this, and it just makes so much sense lyrically for them for what they're doing right now, especially from Eddie's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't you know I'm no good for you? I've learned to lose you, can't afford to. And then this is kind of more Buck. Tore my shirt to stop you bleeding, literally. But nothing ever stops you leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Quiet when I'm coming home and I'm on my own. I could say I like it like that. That's both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you know too much already? I'll only hurt you if you let me. Call me friend, but keep me closer.
Call me back.
And I'll call you when the party's over. Again, the chorus. Nothing is better sometimes once we both said our goodbyes. Let's just let it go. Let me let you go. Like that just sounds, this just sounds like Eddie's thought process.
Major.
Because he's like, I'm not good for you. I have to leave you. I feel guilty about it. I was never good enough for you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Platonically. Didn't deserve your friendship. Yeah. Insane work for them to like put this in the most Buddy episode literally ever. Are you kidding me?
It's so close to what is happening textually. And we know that the music department kind of really hones in on certain things and is like this is like, they find like the perfect song to describe what is actually happening. So to utilize this song where it is a very romantic song.
Yes. But they can't play it over Buddy.
No.
Because that'll give it away.
Yeah.
Which I'm convinced is why there was not like an actual song with lyrics at their goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like very sad, somber.
It's the Americana song of 911. Yeah. Every time we hear that instrumental motif with 911, it just makes me think of the Americana song motif from Supernatural that always plays at like the most like heartfelt, like sad moments.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very Dean coded a lot of times. So like, yeah.
Wow. We're never escaping this pipeline.
No, never.
I can't find it. But like somewhere in the transcript, like in the captions at the end of 810, when that music starts playing, in the Buddy scene, it does say like
tender music or something like that.
Tender music. Thank you. Which like, interesting. It matches the moment, but if it was just platonic friends saying goodbye, you wouldn't need tender. You would want like hopeful, like we're, you know what I mean? Just like uplifting, like sad, but like we're still best friends. Like music that we would get for Chimney and Hen.
Mm-hmm.
We have a subsection of parallels about Eddie and Abby. Buckle up.
Our favorite pun. To start us off with this, there was an article or an interview that, before we really jump into the nitty gritty of the Eddie and Abby parallels, because there are many, there was an interview from Decider with Tim Minear. So it was after 809. So the interviewer, Nicole Gallucci with Decider, asked Tim, did it cross your mind when you were writing that twist that of Buck taking over Eddie's lease that Buck also lived in Abby's apartment when she left in season 1? Well, first of all, he was very glad that she pointed that out and she found that. And he says, what's different here is that Buck staying in Abby's place meant that he was expecting Abby to come back. Him thinking of taking over Eddie's lease means that he's resigned himself to the fact that Eddie is not coming back. So just to have the fact that the Buck moving into Eddie's house paralleling Buck moving into Abby's apartment is absolutely intentional.
Mm-hmm.
With that, just keep in mind
the rest of these Abby parallels. So we have Eddie driving Buck around to look for Maddie. What does that remind you of from season 1?
Way
Buck.
back.
The first time that he met Abby in person, driving her around to look for her mom.
You mean when he could show her the world?
Yes.
Yes.
On the magic Jeep ride?
Yep.
Yeah. And also interesting too, then that was when Abby was looking for her missing mother.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this kind of role reversal here where Buck is looking for Maddie, who just tangentially is his pseudo mother. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie is the one supporting Buck in this.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
That's real interesting.
Interesting parallels to make. Do we ever see Eddie driving Buck around before
No.
this? Interesting. Okay. I'm just going to read. It's probably been a while since you've watched season 1. So just a refresher, some comparisons. When Buck finds out Abby's leaving, and she says, I'm kind of lost, Buck, and I just lost my mom, but I realize I also kind of lost myself a long time ago. And I don't know, I think somewhere along the way, I just started caring so much for everybody else that I stopped caring for myself. Who does that sound like? Oh, just like Eddie is lost and doing everything for Chris in his personal life. And then in his professional one, doing everything for everyone else and never doing anything for himself.
And losing his identity in the process. Not that he ever had one in the first place, but that's another.
No, like Abby does say like, oh, I used to go around the world, travel, swimming, whatever. And I used to demand a lot from myself. Eddie does demand a lot from himself, but not in a way that he's like reaching to aim a goal for himself. He's never cared for himself ever. He's never had what Abby did with the swimming. Even nothing. Then we have, I feel like I need to find that again, Abby says. Because I feel like I need to have something to give to my job and to the people who are counting on me and to the people I care about. Hopefully, foreshadowing that Eddie will be finding this while in El Paso. That's what I'm taking from it. She says, I care about you so much. You're amazing. And the last few months, I think you've gotten me at least halfway to the person I want to be.
Oh my God.
Eddie saying, I don't know what I'm going to do without you. I hope you know you do matter to me.
I mean, honestly, like so much of Buck and Eddie's relationship, like because of Buck being in Eddie's life, has allowed him to care for Christopher in the way that he has, establish a family with the 118, just like really bring him into the fold. It's literally without Buck, where would Eddie be now? Like Eddie has grown so much. First of all, just like being in LA and kind of away from his family.
Yeah.
So Eddie has grown so much in that way, but he's grown so much a lot of because of how Buck has allowed Eddie space to grow. I don't want to say like Eddie has grown because of Buck.
No.
But like it's a mutually beneficial relationship. Like they've pushed each
Buck
other
has
and they've
supported him and given him a
other.
place to feel safe, to be vulnerable, which is something that he needed to do in order to grow.
Yeah. But is he's still, I think generally he likes the person that he is there, but like there's still so much more to go. And I hope after being in El Paso, he'll find who he wants to be or who he is.
I think he still hates himself.
He does, but
I think he likes himself better in LA.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he likes more of who he is.
Now he has to grow a goatee.
But that's like a persona.
Oh my God. But yeah, no, the self-loathing is there no matter where.
Yeah.
It's going to be in the form of a goatee.
He can't run away from himself.
I'll be actually so happy if we get the goatee on screen.
I know.
I just don't believe it.
I hope I hope when he gets to LA, he shows it off.
Interesting what that would mean. Then Buck says, I'm excited for you almost as much as I am sad for me. Buck saying to Eddie, and that's why I'm happy for you, because you're going back to where you belong with Christopher. I can't make this shit up, guys.
No.
We're just reciting it. Like
it's right there. It's in the text. I mean, what can we do?
Yeah.
We're not spinning it. It's right fucking there.
We're not even getting to the visual parallels yet. This is just the dialogue. And then Abby says, I'm going to miss you. Buck says, I'm going to miss you too, which Buck and Eddie do too. Buck doesn't initiate that either time because I don't think he ever would. I don't think he would ever, like with his issues, that he would ever initiate saying like, I'm going to miss you. I also think he has a hard time believing it when people say it to him. Then at the airport, Abby, you're not going to come in with me? You know, and Buck is like, I learned a while ago, you never learn to go beyond the glass doors, whatever. And short of driving Eddie to Texas, he's been there for every step of the way, enabling Eddie to leave him permanently.
Like actually speeding up the process.
He didn't just go behind the glass doors. He said, I'm living in your house and making it a mausoleum because I know you're not coming back. I live behind the glass doors.
Yeah.
It's giving, let's just get this over with. I can't do anything to stop this.
Yeah.
And I'm rather just fucking rot away in the house.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
rip the Band-Aid off.
Abby says, I must be crazy to be leaving you behind.
No freaking dog.
Yeah.
And he says, you're not leaving anything behind. You're moving towards something. I'm going to be right here when you come back, okay? Go on. You got this. He said this thinking that she was going to come back, but she never does. And he thinks Eddie, like Rachel said, he thinks Eddie is never coming back, but he will. So it's foreshadowing Eddie moving towards something and actually doing what Buck says here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is why like he didn't initiate or say anything during their goodbye, because he's been burned before.
Exactly.
And he really doesn't expect Eddie to come back. He really expects for him to be in Texas.
Would he?
Well, he basically told him, if I had to choose between you and my son.
Meaning he wants to choose both. He wants to have his cake and eat it too.
Mm-hmm.
But
he
he
can't.
knows he can't. He knows he can't. And this is more of a, I don't know if this is more of like a visual metaphor or like it's just a parallel, but like the whole comparing the Abby leaving Buck in season 1 at the airport to Eddie leaving Buck now, it's very similar. We're going to bring a little bit of like Greek mythology into this, okay? It's kind of similar to the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice, which is very TLDR, like Orpheus and Eurydice fall in love, and then Eurydice like gets taken to the underworld and Orpheus tries to get her back, but in order to do so where they can both like live happily ever after, they have to like basically either like walk up all of these stairs or something. They have to like escape, and Orpheus can't turn around to look at Eurydice behind him, otherwise she will like yeet right back to the underworld, right? Well, and so he has to like he has
Super mega turbo.
right, back to yeet to the underworld / super mega turbo hell. And the thing is that Orpheus just has to trust that Eurydice is behind him, and if they just make it to the end, then they'll be home free, right? But he can't do that, and he always turns around, and she gets yeeted to super mega turbo hell. So with that, when you look at both of these goodbyes with Abby and Buck, Abby never turns around. She just like goes towards something, like Buck says, right? She is on her way. She is carving a path forward. Buck is the one that turns away from her because he is the one being left, correct? So with 8-10, as you know, after their really awkward goodbye hug and Buck's being like, go on now. You get out of here. Go on, get. That's what I keep thinking about every time. Like, go on, get. Go back to your own kind. Like,
that's what he does. He smacks the U-Haul like it's a horse.
Giddy up.
Giddy up, cowboy.
Anyways, so right after that part, Eddie turns around back to him. So it's the looking back. It's the Orpheus looking back at Eurydice, where now like the tables have turned. And not only does Eddie look back that one time, but he looks back in the mirror, the side view mirror, when he waves goodbye. He's actually not and I think I saw this in a tweet or a Tumblr post, and I'm so sorry. If I find it, I will link it, but he's actually not looking forward, you know, carving that path forward for himself. He is looking back at Buck. In kind of also in the same opposite way where like Buck turned around after Abby left, Buck just stays watching Eddie until he can't see him anymore. He does not turn away. Neither like, so it's that like mythological, like big thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, because their love is epic.
Thank you.
Like mythologically so. And there's a fic for this, and I'm so glad you linked it.
Thank you.
This is one of our favorite fics, literally.
Oh
ever.
my gosh.
We're obsessed with it.
It's absolutely incredible.
It's called Both Blade and Branch by Daisies and Briars. Please give that a read. It had me at the edge of my seat or the edge of my bed, wherever the fuck I was reading it. I was unwell.
We all were.
For many chapters. It was so good. I think there were tears, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, which is
yeah.
a lot for you guys. But
yes, the two stoic people.
I don't know. Fic gets me a lot, I think.
If it's a very emotional, like very like high stakes fic,
which this is,
it does get me, but I have to be like in the moment. I have to be so invested to the point that I'm feeling feelings.
Like you can't put it down.
Yeah. So this is one of those.
It's an incredible. It's basically like Orpheus and Eurydice buddy retelling.
Yes.
But with a twist. Right? Yeah. It's so
set
good.
in season 6, I believe. Yeah.
And I was also shocked that nowhere in that fic that it said this was also like partially inspired by Supernatural in some kind of fucking way. Because
it has that vibe.
It has that vibe.
In a good way.
In a good way. Yes.
In a good way. In the best way.
Yeah. Everybody go read that.
Please go read that. Please. Please cry.
And please cry and then yell at us.
Yeah.
Yell at Daisies and Briars.
Specifically in their
Give them a
comment
lot
section.
of love. Yes.
Don't forget to drop kudos.
Yes.
And if you already did, write the comment.
Yeah. Wow, that was a threat.
That was so threatening. Just like, write a comment. Or else.
So we did Eddie and Abby parallels. And I know you're like wondering, but where are the Buck and Shannon parallels? That was totally something you were thinking.
Well, don't worry.
Don't worry. We have two. And guess what? They're both unhinged.
Yeah, they're both.
They are. Yeah, those were the ones.
The first one.
Oh my God.
Is Eddie shoos them both out the back door.
Didn't he shoot? Wait, no, but with Shannon, it's worse, isn't it? It's the window.
No, it's the door. He says go out the back.
I thought it was the window.
I double checked because I thought it was the window too. I think it's just because Vic says the window.
Yeah.
Or did he
the window was right there
at the window?
I think he had the door open and was like waving so that they couldn't see like behind.
Yeah, like through the kitchen.
The Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Shooing them both out the door. Like,
yeah.
Leave. Like, you have to go. You have to go. Actually, just like to extrapolate for very briefly, the amount of times that Eddie has asked his romantic partners to get the hell out of his house is more than one.
It's more than 2 nickels. I can tell you that. I'd actually be rich.
Because with Anna, he was like, I think you should go home.
And she's only been nursing you back to health and taking care of your kid. I think you should go home. I mean, like,
it's different circumstances.
Yeah.
It's more like 1-to-1 with Shannon. But just like the fact that it is a pattern with Eddie is just like, come on. But it is another instance where it's like a love interest. Well,
and
about to be broken up. But.
And Marisol was asked to move out.
Thank you. Yes, that's the one I forgot.
Needs like to get a cake for Eddie when he finally comes out. That's like, congratulations to the women of LA who will never be terrorized again.
And absolutely needs to get on it.
But this one's even worse, and I can't remember when I thought of this. Was it mid rewatch?
Yeah,
with you guys.
Yep, I think so.
Started evilly cackling. So we were watching 810 again, as one does, and in the scene in the truck when Eddie doesn't want to talk about feelings, even though like he's leaving. No one's dying, but like they're leaving and they should probably talk, maybe say some things.
Don't let anything let go unsaid, right?
So like when, I don't know, his wife is dying and she's trying, Shannon's trying to say like, I'm so sorry I'm leaving you again. I'm a little bit, he's like, be silent. Right? Famously,
shut up.
He says, be silent, right? And then Buck says his whole tweaking out thing. And Eddie
in the car.
Yeah, in the car. And he like pulls himself together and finally like, when he says it's not nothing. And then Buck tries to argue and then tries to continue talking, which would have opened another dialogue for them to have to talk about more emotions. He very firmly is like, hey.
Yeah. He shuts it down.
You don't have to say anything. We got we got the Be Silent redo, part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Again, Eddie famously says, please stop talking to like so many people, not even romantic partners. He has no qualms about telling someone to shut up. But like, this is poignant for me because he is really shutting down this line of open communication that Buck is begging to open.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, nope, we're not doing this right now. I close that door. And this just like plays into the whole thing during season 8 where like they're not actually communicating. And now that Buck is kind of like ready and trying to open that door and to try to open that dialogue, Eddie is now the one to shut it down, which is also just like kind of, you know, indicative of where they are in their own character journeys. Like Buck is kind of ready for something. Maybe he's acknowledged something about himself. I don't know what that could be. Maybe the fact that he's bi. And then Eddie is like, nope, not talking about it. Not yet ready. Just saying it is very indicative of their character, where they are in their own characters at the moment. They make me insane.
They make me insane. Okay, a couple of really quick ones. We'll link the Tumblr gift sets for, because great to have visuals. Not that there aren't like a lot of edits that you can also watch, but like gift sets are an art form that I also really appreciate. Mm-hmm. And it makes it easier to just like look at it side by side and just stare at the intention. So some parallels between Buck and Eddie from 414 when Buck is keeping Eddie alive, and Maddie in 810 when Jimmy is keeping Maddie alive. If you look at the gift set, it's like shot for shot. It's literally like shot for shot. Pretty much shot for shot. There's very similar dialogue too, including "Stay with me," famously.
Yeah, I mean that it's a thing that people say, but it's just like so emphatically,
but it's very
like,
famously in TV trope of romantic thing.
Yeah.
Then we have again 414. And I think I mentioned this earlier.
Yes, you did.
414, this is Buddy with Buddy parallel.
Buddy to Buddy.
Yes. It's the like, because Evan, you came in here the other day, blah, 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 blah. You act like you're expendable, but you're not. And it's that compared with the truck scene, and it's not nothing. Actually, no, I compared this to a different scene, I think.
I thought it was
Was it this?
What? I think it was this. Was it?
I thought it was the I hope you know.
Oh, maybe it was. Well, double Buddy parallel with this.
Double your pleasure, double your fun, double your pain. And again, this gift set is actually fucking insane. Because like the shots are so fucking similar and the faces Eddie are making are so similar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
the lack of eye contact specifically because he doesn't want to like directly address.
But it's like, so when
feelings.
you put it next to each other and you know from 414 that Eddie's angry because Buck thinks he's expendable. He's angry because Buck literally came in there and was like, I should have just died. It would have been better for everyone. Wouldn't have affected you or Christopher at all. Like, and that him saying you act like you're expendable, but you're not, is him saying like, you're important to people. You're important to us. Right?
To me.
And it's that same kind of face that he's giving him in the truck. He's like, oh, you're moving. Like it doesn't mean to anyone else. Right? You're like it's nothing. And he does the same exact like facial fucking journey before he does, but you're wrong, before he says it's not nothing. Crazy work.
ASMR for you guys.
Yeah. There's exactly 2 times, I mean, correct us if we're wrong, but there are exactly 2 times that Buck has ever hidden from Eddie. Obviously, we're talking about 809, 8010. So one of those is 809 when he hears Eddie say everything that matters is in Texas, and he hides. The other time is in The Searchers 303, which is the conclusion of the tsunami arc. And
This happens when Buck is on the phone with Maddie talking about how he lost Christopher. And while he's doing that, he spots Eddie and he hides. And the reasoning for doing these might seem very different, but they are actually very similar at their root. And that has to do with losing Eddie, because in 303, he thought that if he told Eddie that he lost Christopher, that would be the end of his friendship with Eddie. And after he overheard what Eddie said in 809, he thought that was the end of their friendship. There's no other time that Buck ever hides from Eddie. I think the closest that we can see is when he's like hiding his true feelings or hiding the truth, but he's never physically hiding from him in any other circumstances other than these two that have to do with losing Eddie.
Now I'm just comparing things that Buck and Eddie have said to each other.
Okay, so we've got from 201, what do we need him for? To now in 809, I don't need you either. Like, oof is all I can think of. Oof. Because really, like it's kind of just at first him just being all petulant and like I don't even know, like posturing and all of that, and now it's like him just being hurt because Eddie hurt his feelings unintentionally without any meaning.
The first one was he felt threatened because he thought that he was going to be replaced, and this one is like feels like he's already replaced or like doesn't matter. Yeah.
And then there's from 806, I put my desires before his needs. And then with 809, I don't like it any more than you do, but which Eddie is still doing that, you know?
Okay, but I put my desires before his needs, so he's never going to do that again, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that wasn't really something he desires. I don't like it any more than you do, but if you're going to make it about me choosing between you and Christopher, you're going to lose every time. That's literally a direct parallel saying he desires Buck.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's also, going back to the I don't need you either, going back to 414, always the scene of the crime. I need you to hang on. Oh, okay. Now we have Buck's Freddie Fakeman speech as Josh's Glee speech. Do you care for him? I'm having more trouble dealing with the idea of you not being around than I like to admit. Are you romantically inclined towards this person? It's me. That's going to go so hard in edits, guys.
Oh my God, I can't wait. It's me. Which is also like a romantic trope thing to...
Yes.
Like it's like literally in New Girl or whatever. It's like, it's Nick. And it's like, oh.
Yes. If we get, when Eddie has his realization flashing back to Buck going, it's me, I will become the most insufferable version of
I
myself.
need him to say it's you, you know? That would go extra hard in the edit.
Yeah. Because
It's
then
me.
you get like
It's you.
then you get the reciprocal, and it's just like it's them choosing each other. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think about him when he's not around? Eddie going, what about your loft? It's not my loft anymore, because he was thinking about what again? Oh, putting Eddie's needs before his own. Are his concerns your concerns? And now you don't need to worry.
Oh.
Is his happiness at least as important to you as yours? That's why I'm happy for you, because you're going back to where you belong with Christ.
My
God.
Christ.
And then circling back to, and could you see a future there? He could. He doesn't anymore because he thinks Eddie's gone forever. I'm having more trouble dealing with the idea of you not being around. I like to admit.
Yeah, I think Josh's Glee speech is going to come up a couple times.
Also is going hard with edits right now.
Yes. I think they're going to revisit it in more and more like explicit like terms, like direct parallels.
There was no reason for that speech if it wasn't going to be about Eddie. Let's be so fucking for real.
It's always about Eddie.
It's about Eddie.
Someone read the next one because I want to see a reaction.
Wait. The I hate it, but I love you, so I'm letting you go, which is basically Eddie and 710 in comparison to like what Buck is doing right now. Yeah. No, I thought of that because it's exactly the same thing. So like Eddie had to let Christopher go because, you know, he loves him. He's doing it for his son, and now like Buck is doing the same thing. It's
God.
there's a lot. It really speaks.
There's more than this. We just literally ran out of time.
Yeah.
It needs to be recorded.
Yeah.
If you find any more,
Let us know.
let
We
us
wanna
know.
see it.
We will talk about parallels all the live long day.
We sure will.
Maybe we'll do a season 8 Buddie special.
Last parallel that I have written is Buck introducing Eddie to
Going
Carla.
hard.
And the first thing he ever did for Eddie, the first big gesture to his last one, just subletting the house, and both of those is getting Christopher and Eddie what they need.
Yep.
Which is what he says to him. I just thought that she could help you get Christopher what he needs.
Buck is just a big
I wish
gesture.
this was alcohol.
Dude, for fucking real.
Next time we should.
Should we do framing, blocking, round robin?
So I'll just start with this one. So we've got a very similar shot when the team is hugging Eddie. You know, after he tells them about moving. There's Buck looking from the outside, and which is similar to when the team meets Eddie in 201.
Mm-hmm. And Buck is just like on the outs there. And then, I love this one. So in 809, when Buck and Eddie are cleaning the doors of the glass locker room, the glass closet, if you will, and you know, at one point they're like on the same side of that glass wall and they're cleaning it together. Eddie at one point moves and goes to the other side. So they are now looking at each other through the glass on opposite sides, which indicates like this distance between them, right?
Mhm.
And this obstacle between them. And that kind of parallels at the end of the episode with Buck asking about knocking down the wall in Eddie's house. So like there is an obstacle between them, and then they're talking about removing that obstacle. So they will eventually be on the same page again soon. They will be together again soon. That obstacle will be gone. And I think they like this kind of framing, which I kind of visually tie that to a couple of the times where in season 3 with the divorce arc, where they're like on opposite sides of the fire station. And then when they're looking at each other, like in this same way with 413, with the shooting. And then at the end of 810 with the U-Haul, just like the framing. I mean, it's a typical framing, but it's just like that kind of like maintained eye contact, but specifically the obstacle in between them, and then how it will be no longer there. Also, when Eddie opens the door to who he thinks is going to be Freddie Fakeman, and is not, decidedly not Freddie Fakeman.
But it is a man he should fuck.
Oh my God. I can't believe that.
Fuck him up.
It is like kind of almost shot for shot when Eddie goes to the door in 806 after like immediately following the risky business dance, and it's Buck on the other side. And just the way like he goes to the door, he like fixes his hair and everything like that. So it's very much the same motions there. And I kind of thought that they did more confessing in this scene in 809 than they did actually communicate during all of 806, which was the confessions episode. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Which was the point.
Which was the point, I know. And also just like immediately preceding when Eddie goes to the door in 809 and he's straightening everything up, you know, he's like fixing the flowers. He has, he's straightening it up. He's fluffing it to look more perfect, right? And it's kind of similar to what he did in 413 when he was like fluffing the pillows on the couch while Anna was there as they were getting ready to welcome Carla. And it was like, no, everything has to be perfect, right? It's that like perceived perfection, that like mask of everything is exactly the way of performance, right? And also just like the way he straightened the artwork because it was crooked is just interesting because it wasn't straight. And he's straightening it to look perfect. It's gay.
Real quick, sunflowers are in the scene where they're showing when they look like a married couple to all these people that Buck are sabotaging as potential subletters. And sunflowers symbolize loyalty and devotion, a long life and lasting happiness, admiration and love, and seeking truth and enlightenment.
Oh, truth and enlightenment, you say?
Uh-huh.
No kidding. Also, I will just speaking of sunflowers, point out that there is a giant sunflower painting above the mantle in Eddie's living room. So for someone who may like be seeking enlightenment, and it might have been in front of him the whole time. Just throwing that out there. That.
And then the white roses are there for Freddie Bakeman. And they symbolize new beginnings, eternal love and loyalty, respect and reverence.
Wild. Which could mean everything.
Wow.
Anyway. Okay, I'm just going to go through these and I'll link the post because all of the ones I'm about to say have visuals to go with them, either an edit or a Tumblr post. So I think we've talked about most of these scenes, but maybe didn't talk about like the parallels visually. The Eddie and Abby scenes, talking about like the Jeep and the truck, the like being driven around to look for their mother or mother figure. Literally, it's just shot for shot. Like the editors do this thing where they just like go back and forth really quickly between the two things, like flicker.
Yeah. And it's just
and
like
they eat.
It's so good because it's so the same.
It's the same. Yeah.
And that kind of like, yeah, it's just like you can say like the shots are similar, but when you go keep like flipping back and forth between them, and this is like for all of these, like it's wild.
Okay. The space between, that's a joke no one's going to get. That's a Dave Matthews Band reference. That aged me. The space between them is shrinking. There's a Tumblr post that shows this really well. It's showing that really nice shot from the Halloween episode in season 3, where their divorce arc ends, right? Where there's a lot of space between them.
Which was also very purposeful.
Then we have the shooting. We have Eddie getting shot.
It always comes back there.
A little closer. And then we have the glass closet totally takes 2 window cleaning. And then we have the U-Haul. They can't even fit the letters for U-Haul between them. That's how close they are.
And then they get even closer with the hug.
Well, yeah, that's... If only their ears could have transferred some thoughts between each other.
I feel like their ears were having a very, 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 very intimate moment.
I feel like that hug was the closest, physically closest hug that they've ever had.
Well, yeah. By a mile.
Just like the way they like sunk into each other.
Oh my God, Buck. Well, Buck is literally like hiding his face in his shoulder. I'm just like,
he's taller than him. How does that work?
Yeah, how does that work? It's like trying to like fold yourself into someone's body and like merging. Anyway.
Oh, he's trying.
Yeah.
He was like, take me with you in your pocket to Texas, please. Damn.
He's trying. He's trying.
Could have just snuck himself into the U-Haul.
Then we have a great little flickering edit.
I love this one.
I hate this one.
Which one are we on?
It's so good.
The 201.
I hate it. So 201, the like aftermath of the
grenade
scene where it's the you can have my back any day. The buddy scene, I guess, until fucking now. Like, which one of these is now the buddy scene? Is it this? Goodbye?
There are so many of them. This is just the first one.
I know. That's true. Anyway, it's comparing that and the goodbye. And it's literally, it's shot for shot in a way that I know that this is on purpose by a very sick person. But we'll link it. It's The Hum Forever made it. And they've got fucking, what song is that in the background? It's Taylor.
It is.
There's clouds to the east, robbers to the west. I give you my sunshine, give you my best. Thank you. With peace in the background. Wow, that's illegal.
Oh, yeah. Like that instrumental part of it where it's just like.
Yeah. Like at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, oh my God, that one. Oh my God. That like gives me the big feelings.
Yeah.
I think the last little bit of some framing and blocking stuff here is, you know, once is an incident, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. And this has happened, I think, more than 3 times, but I will specifically mention the lingering shots on Buck about Eddie's news, right? We get in consecutive episodes in 808, that lingering shot of Buck on the couch being like, what is happening? What does this mean? Everything like that, like whatever the hell is going on in that head of his. Going into 809, where we have the lingering shots of Buck as which one was it? Was it when Buck was overhearing Eddie say the stuff about, you know, the like no ties here, but also kind of at the end where he talks about that he's subletting. So like twice in 809 where he's just like looking on as like Eddie takes in all of this news, and then again in 810, that last shot, that lingering shot where it gets closer and closer to, and all of these happen where they start zooming in on his facial expression, and it's supposed to bring you in to be very like, you know, oh, this is a lot of emotions happening, like bring you into what is going on in his inner world. Also, Lyra Hale has a fantastic article on Fangirlish about the cinematography and analyzing the cinematography of the goodbye scene in front of the U-Haul. It's excellent. Definitely check it out because it talks about how intentional all of these shots are and what it means, like the visual language for what that means for Buck's character. It's just a fantastic analysis. Basically, like if I were to say any of my thoughts, it would just be, you know, regurgitating what she's already written. So check that out too. We'll have all of these things linked as we normally do in our show notes because we want to share the wealth.
To close it out, Eddie, here is your queer-coded sign. That glass closet blocking.
Oh, God.
Woo.
About him stepping outside of the glass closet?
Woo.
Because he went on the other side?
This is exactly what I wrote down. Hard Eyes Magoo at the rescue. What the fuck was that?
That was absolutely giving the same kind of look that Eddie gave Buck with the, you had to do it. Or like, I had to do it.
Totally.
And Eddie says like, I know you did after 405, after Buck begins.
Anyway, he's absolutely besotted.
Yeah.
Hard eyes motherfucker.
For real. I don't care that they didn't actually write in the line like it would have been a nice little thing to
We're
have.
all
But they already
thinking
gave
it.
us so much. There's no way every single person didn't walk in there and think they were married. Why else would they think that the man showing them the house had this big giant man in a pink cardigan with him?
Clifford, the big bisexual.
Yes, this is my big bisexual best friend.
He doesn't live here.
Platonic. He doesn't live here. He's here all the time, but like, there's no.
He comes with the house.
Yeah.
But when I leave, I'll take him. Well, what you should have done is take him.
No, he's just going to show up. Like, please let him in so he can just like look around the house for a little while and then like leave.
He's going to be the property management.
I think Rachel wrote this one because it says Eddie straightening his house.
That is Rachel.
Yeah, sorry. That I talked about that with the the visual framing of like straightening.
Sorry, I outed you to Kat. I don't care what you say, Tim Miner. You're a liar.
Who did say in one of these interviews, and I have to find the link for it, where he said like, you're not going to believe me.
But it wasn't intentional. You're right.
We do not believe you, actually.
You're too smart to write something like, sorry, I outed you without a purpose. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Easter egg my near, like, that was 100% on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have Eddie's U-Haul outfit, slutty tank top, but not as slutty.
This is a gay man in the 80s. That's what this outfit is. It's Eddie Mercury.
The only way it could have been gayer is if it was a white tank top and the mustache was still there.
Mm-hmm. And finally, the bend and snap.
Legally Blonde is his favorite movie.
Ben,
Listen. I don't know what the actual reason was for bending over like this. I sure know it wasn't to protect his knees or his lower back.
That was something.
Also, why the hand on the hip while he did that?
So sassy.
While he did that and closed the U-Haul, and now the words are in front of him. Holds a queen.
Sized mattress.
Hey, 911 prop department.
What the fuck?
Let me kiss you.
Because they could have had them move over to like the side of the trailer or the side of the truck or anything like that, like closer to the door. They just had them right there.
I'm sure there were also more than one option of what the back of a U-Haul said.
Mm-hmm.
Unless U-Haul was sponsoring it.
No, but then they would have gone to U-Haul and been like, hey, can we
They either picked it out intentionally or they were just like, this is fine. Either way.
It works.
Either way, even if they were like, whatever, like we can shoot around it, like, but they chose to center that in between the two of them. Like,
We know what you're doing, 911.
We know what you are, buddy shippers.
We're onto your game, okay?
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. Just fucking insane work. End this segment.
So we're just kind of zoom out a little bit, look ahead. So now that we've talked kind of at length about what we have just bore witness to, what we have just witnessed with our own eyeballs, which was basically fan fiction on screen for so much of it, we're going to just like kind of take a brief look forward. I think there are a couple. So U-Haul theory, right? You've heard of lasagna theory. You've heard of couch theory. Now we're doing U-Haul theory because so interesting. All of Buck's breakups deal with moving, and as we have already stated, the Buck and Eddie goodbye in front of the U-Haul truck is an amicable breakup. So you have moving, like just conceptually, like building a home, the idea of permanence, being chosen, like this feeling of belonging. So when Abby left, Buck moved into her apartment. When Buck moved into the loft with Allie's help in season 2, she left not long after. When Buck asked Taylor to move in under false pretenses, she did, but then she also moved back out when they broke up. And Buck asked Tommy to move in, and Tommy immediately broke up with him. And now that Eddie is moving, Buck moves into Eddie's house. So it's this cyclical Abby thing all over again. Just all of Buck's breakups have to do with moving.
And technically, Buck and Eddie broke up.
Exactly. So U-Haul theory.
There's breakup green at the scene of the crime.
Every time. Mm-hmm. What's coming next? So we have 8/11, which is
today. It's just coming out the day this episode comes out.
Today, March 20th. It's called Holy Mother of God. There are 2 synopses. One of them is the 118 responds to a call at a megachurch where Bobby runs into his estranged mother. Meanwhile, Buck is looking to expand his social circle of 1 now that Eddie has left. And then there was an alternate synopsis that was released where it says the 118 crew responds to a call of a man fallen in his garden. They're shocked by what else they discover. Meanwhile, Athena gets called away to assist on a high stakes case on the Odyssey. So that I think is leading into the 911 Dr. Odyssey crossover that Athena will guest spot on for Dr. Odyssey. So it seems like there's a lot going on. I think we know that it's going to be very Bobby centric with surprise his mom, which I think we are all very excited for. It's going to be wild.
And allegedly his brother also there.
So we know that's going to happen. We know that they're going to be revisiting Buck's feelings from 704.
Mystery.
And yes, a
Intrigue.
mystery. And also Oliver mentioned in a US Weekly article that Buck's journey for the rest of the season, he says 3 words: uncomfortable, opportunity, and devastating. So that's fun.
That's so comforting. Thank you, Oliver.
To think about. Yeah. And expanding social circle. It's what it said.
All I can see from that is uncomfortable. I know what's happening there. Opportunity. Maybe he's going to seize the day. I don't fucking know. And devastating. Someone gets an NDE.
Yes, most definitely.
We also know that he's having a conversation with Maddie in this episode that
presumably
she says something that he finds ludicrous, revisiting the 704 feelings. Why do they ever let Oliver Stark out of PR jail?
Why did they?
Why do they ever?
I don't know.
Is it a spoiler?
Well, we didn't know then, but
we didn't know it was then.
But we can confirm now it was. Definitely seems like there's going to be a lot of Bobby stuff, a lot of Bobby and his mom, which is always really fantastic to revisit his backstory, especially when we uncover Bobby lore that we didn't know, and a lot of Buck stuff, and looking to expand his social circle. What social circle? It is a point. It is one person. Everyone else he works with. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, who the fuck knows? I don't know. Kind of spiral this man is about to go through. Anyway,
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we've seen the rumors.
I'm so excited to see the fuck happens.
Yeah.
Then we have 8/12 Disconnected happening on March 27th, and there's no synopsis. All we know is that Eddie will be in El Paso, and Ryan has a countdown that he has been doing on Instagram.
Yeah, we only really know. That's pretty much the only thing we know about 8/12 is that it is the Eddie in El Paso episode. And we only really know that because of Ryan's Instagram. And I think maybe a couple quotes from Tim. And I think one from Ryan as well.
Ryan, yeah.
And
saying something about
real interesting
that there would be stuff with his mother. And we were like,
oh yeah. I forgot to grab that.
Thank you.
Yeah, where he said there's going to be, I don't think he said necessarily a confrontation, but they're going to be addressing some things.
Well, they're going to address the snide remarks that she makes at him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which I think we have been begging for since summer hiatus. So, and really the only thing we can pull then as some sort of, potential of what could go down is Eddie's kind of final words to Buck being that Chris and I are only a phone call or a FaceTime away. And just putting that idea of connecting and communication over the phone and from a distance into the forefront of our head, and, to have that and then to maybe yank it away, disconnected. So interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, just also kind of really hoping that disconnected means Eddie disconnecting from his parents. I know we've talked about this a number of times, but
oh yeah, fuck them forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We would really love to see that, Eddie coming into his own, and kind of cutting the cord with his parents who are not nice to him. But that's all we know. So I guess we'll find out very soon.
All right. And now for our bi-weekly buddy forecast.
And coming in from the north.
It's a 14-day buddy forecast.
It kind of is.
We're giving you the weather.
Well, you've got a system moving southeast from Los Angeles to Texas, and
oh my God. All right. So this is more like a what we think might happen. What if this happened?
What we want to happen.
What we want to happen. This is kind of like a we don't actually know, but like we're theorizing, but also semi just writing a wish list.
Yeah, we're putting our like clown makeup on in a fun way.
I don't know. Sometimes our clown makeup looks professional.
Mhm.
Like with Abby.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, so you called that from the first episode of our like. Mm-hmm.
What if it's
You'll never
actually
love
that Tommy? To my near.
I said, I like to think.
I like
For
to
the
think,
plot.
but nah.
Yes.
We can never say they're never going to do that because like there have been too many instances where like they have done exactly that.
After the Vertigo arc and the Abby shared fiat, like
Everything is on the table. So
yeah,
here you go. Here's some ideas.
Great. So several people have pontificated on this, and I have latched onto it like Parasite.
Uh-huh.
I'm very attached to it. I need it to live. I know that we are all talking about how Buck is going to crash out today when this episode comes out. But what if it's Eddie crashing out instead?
Mhm.
I could see that.
Yeah.
What if Buck is actually successful in making friends
Well,
and expanding his social circle?
That I find harder to believe.
I actually don't.
well, here's
Not in all
here's
cases.
my
It depends what kind of friends he's
True.
trying
Yes,
to make.
true.
Exactly. So like here's my perfect world of that. Okay, Eddie crashes out, fine, whatever. But when it comes to Buck, I'm like, okay, maybe he can have it. Like it's fine. Like everything's fine. But then what the fuck are you doing talking to Mr. Redacted? Because apparently he's coming back.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. What are we doing here? What are we doing here,
With
Buck?
like a wink.
Well, we'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's
if
crashing
Buck-
out to me. That's crashing out to me.
if Buck is just trying
Like backsliding.
to like hook up with people, he's going to be successful.
True.
Mm-hmm.
That would not be hard for
No,
him. I know that he
absolutely
has
not.
like not a lot of experience with men. Still would not be hard for him.
No, he's charming.
Might arguably be easier.
Yeah.
If he's trying to date people, that's going to be harder because of who he is just awkwardly as a person when he is trying to date people. And also, he probably won't be able to shut up about
Nope.
Eddie. If he's actually trying to make real friends, same problem.
I could also see him like just same thing, friends or even like hookups. Like I feel like at some point Eddie's name is just
Eddie's gonna come up.
But there's the other option that I could see him being successful in is if he expands his social circle and it's something ridiculous, like a knitting club or a,
Oh, that would be cute. Like something.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like something
baking
just like
club.
with like older women.
with sweet grandmas, and then he's going to talk about his friend Eddie.
Yeah.
And they're gonna
Tell
think,
us more
"Oh,
about
it's
your
so
partner.
sweet."
It's so sweet
Yeah.
how much you care about
No, that would be
him.
adorable.
No,
Um,
actually, yeah, I need that.
But anyway, all of the options other than maybe that last one, if he's talking to Eddie about them, and Buck looks clearly like he's doing good, like he's not depressed as fuck
Oh, yeah.
visibly, and he's
I'm
making new
so
friends,
mad.
Eddie will
Eddie
crash
and his
out.
insecurities about being replaced super easily,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna crash out hard because you know he's sitting depressed as fuck alone in that haunted house.
That we have
Decided it's
decided is
haunted.
haunted.
Yeah, and let's be real, because it's only and if Christopher, if he and Christopher are actually like talking, it's only visitation.
Mhm.
It has to only be visitation at this point. I don't think the
Mhm.
fucking Diaz parents are going to let Christopher live
Nope.
with Eddie.
Yeah.
I do not see that.
You know how everybody jokes that like Eddie being gone will make Buck like from New Moon when Bella's in the chair and the
Yeah.
camera's going around
Yeah.
and around and it's just like October, November, December. That but Eddie sitting in that empty haunted house. Being like, what, like not doing anything until like he has time for Buck or time for Christopher
Yeah.
and maybe
I
like
keep-
work.
I keep forgetting that there's going to be a time
Mhm.
jump for some reason.
Mm.
So like, are we thinking that Buck's going to be finally peeling himself out of the depressive avoidance state and going
I
out,
could
or do
see
we
that.
think we're gonna get thrown right into him doing whatever the fuck it is?
I feel like
Are we gonna get thrown back into 101?
Mm,
Some of us are sex addicts, kind of scene.
I can see it both ways.
Yeah. So can
I
he.
know.
well, I really feel like we're gonna go into that 3-month time jump because like we need Maddie's throat to heal so she can actually have this fucking conversation. So
True.
And also just like heal for herself
Yes.
and her family
Yes.
and the baby.
yes,
But yes, like it will move the pregnancy forward, but then like
that too. And she'll
honestly-
deliver on time by the season finale.
no matter which way they come back into it in the time jump, if he's like pulling himself out of his depression and like finally starting to go out into the world, or if he's already like been, you know, doing like seeing people and expanding his friend groups or whatever it is, I think it'll either way would lend itself to this ludicrous conversation with Maddie, because she would either be trying to like, you know, knock some sense into him about like, okay, you got to like get out of this depressive spiral, or what are you actually doing, because this doesn't like benefit you, or it's like kind of harmful to you if he's, you know, the other option there. So I think either way can work, if this is what we're thinking the conversation's going to be.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what version of this conversation we're getting. I think we're all assuming that it has something to do with Eddie. Also didn't hit me until a day or two after the episode that now that Buck lives in Eddie's house, that conversation could happen on the buddy couch. And man, oh man, if it happens there.
Can't wait to make that addendum to our couch theory episode.
Oh, it's going to be great. Yeah, I'm really interested to see if she's like, oh my God, I'm so tired. You need to I'm going to tell you because you can't. I once told you this, or you once told me this, and now I'm returning the favor. You're dating. You were dating. Or maybe it's you're doing the same thing that you did with Abby. That's kind of how I've been picturing it, is you're doing the same thing you did with Abby, and him being like,
what?
What are you talking about? You moved into someone's house who left you, and it's hurting you.
He's like, but no, it's
you
different.
need to move on.
And it's like,
yeah, it's not different. He's my best friend, and
he's not coming back, and I know this. Well, maybe just look at your feelings a little bit.
So we noticed a pattern.
Yes.
We brain blasted.
Not only have we been hurting the kids, but we've been putting the couples in danger.
Yes.
The established couples, right?
So it's this pattern that has been established specifically in this season, and it's been fairly consistent, especially in multiples of 2 episodes, right? So in the opening emergencies, we have Bobby and Athena's emergency with the plane, right? And how Athena was in trouble. Bobby was trying to save her. Those were 802 and 803. Then we have Hen and Karen dealing with Mara in like trying to get Mara back in 804. And then like back to back Denny's emergency in 805. So they're going through this big family thing as well with the kids and Hen and Karen, because they're going through stuff as well. And then we have most recently Maddie and Chimney with 809 and 810. And okay, now that we've established a pattern, who's left? And isn't 814 and 815 a 2-parter episode? So that's interesting to us. Again, we see pattern, we say pattern.
And I feel like Buck and Eddie are paralleling each couple and Buck and Eddie, and I guess Christopher as well, like are paralleling each like couple and like the couple and their kids, you know what I mean? I for some reason I don't know what it is, because I like I said, I don't know if I said this already, but like I did watch most of Buck and Eddie scenes, and then for some reason I stayed to watch the Bethina emergency, the opening emergency, and I'm like, maybe they're gonna parallel Bethina for some reason, because they do kind of do that. I don't know what, but obviously they're gonna be separated.
Yes.
Until they finally find
just
each other
like Bobby
again.
and Athena. Well, sorry, go ahead.
What did you just brain blast? If you just brain blast, just say it.
A little bit. Because in all of these like couple emergencies, the couples were separated.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have Bobby on the ground and Athena in the air. We had Hen and Karen, well, separated from Mara, but also like Hen working and being separated from the rest of the family during Halloween. And then we have Maddie being taken and separated from Chimney. And then we have this perfect setup with Buck and Eddie being separated.
This is what is leaning credence a little bit to the theory that Eddie's coming back in 14.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would mean that they weren't back working together yet quite, or maybe him and Chris
didn't quite make it
get
there.
into something on the way back. But I don't know, because like the emergency that we look like we're getting looks like biological and out of college and like I
SWAT
don't
teams
know
and FBI
how
and just
that would
like
have to do with Christopher. Like I know Christopher is going to be in danger. Is it going to be during 14-15? Maybe. Is it going to be while they're still in Texas? Also, maybe. I don't know. I know he's in danger.
At some point.
I just don't know when.
At some point. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a end of the season thing, but like.
Also, wouldn't be surprised if they don't actually have Buck and Eddie separated to begin with for the emergency and then separate them. And then we get like a Kirk and Spock.
Which again, that like obstruction
glass separation, but it's contamination situation.
Which is also like a romantic kind of thing.
Which is a romantic thing.
Happened as well.
And then it also is different because like, yes, all the other couples were separated for at least part or most of their NDE, but Buck and Eddie aren't actually a couple yet.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
Give me that Kirk and Spock parallel.
Oh my God. Spark.
Give it to me.
So bad, especially after this episode with them washing the glass together. Like,
oh
yeah, like the visual is already there.
Yeah.
And the shot of them looking at each other from either side.
They were so funny to have more glass closet.
Of course. but also the shot of them looking at each other from opposite sides of the glass there was so tight of a shot, and you only saw like one half of their eye. Like it was so close, so intimate. Okay. It could definitely lend itself to
if that's
that.
Correct, then I think it is Eddie. Because they're gonna put him behind a glass closet. Let's be real. If that's what they're doing.
He can't leave yet until he's been decontaminated or deconstructed.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Oh, wow. So what is this 14-15 theory that you have linked?
Listen, I didn't read it in detail enough to like give a good synopsis of it. I just know that someone else did the research. Thank you, Knox at the 118 on twitter.com. We will link it, of course, but they did the research to find something that would fit the like helicopters and the biological like situation for what's going on that we know for 14-15 with, you know, Tim Minear's favorite.
A 1960s or 70s disaster movie. Oh my God. I'm telling you, he flipped through his binder and he said, yes, this one.
Yeah. But the movie is called The Satan Bug. But it's something that can like wipe out all life on Earth.
Oh, that's creepy. No, I'm sorry. That's just, I'm drawing parallels where there are not much to parallel to. If I'm going to do anything, it's with a red string. I'm sorry. The Satan Bug following something about Holy Mother of God. I'm just going to tie like all of the religious stuff to Holy Mother of God and like how it disseminates in the themes from there. So if we're doing like Holy Mother of God in 11 and then Eddie in El Paso in 12, and that will probably follow up on some religious themes and like maybe, I don't know, unfinished thought, but thought was there. Basically,
the people come to the laboratory and are advised to seal it using concrete and reveals that there's 2 deadly bioweapons inside that basically could wipe out all life on Earth. So interesting. That could get us there. We will link it. You can read it. It's a good theory. Just really, really quick. We all know that man, Mr. Bones,
the X,
can't wait to cringe.
Maybe being the corpse is reanimating.
Oh my God.
For one last hurrah, one last spin around the plot device. And you know what? I'm actually so here for
Fine
it.
with it. Yeah.
Me too.
Because
it
actually would close the book in a way that would feel more satisfying for Buck, and it would just bring that Abby parallel like kind of more full circle, and further explores the feelings for Eddie. Like there's no other reason to bring him back.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I guess to get closure, but the only way he's getting closure is if Buck understands what the fuck he meant by your first, not your last.
Especially if they're bringing back into like re-examining Buck's feelings that he was having in 704. This would be the perfect opportunity for it, and it would be like clear as a bell.
Yep.
That it was about Eddie.
It would be really obvious for Buck if he saw Tommy and like comparing like how he felt after the breakup to how he feels about Eddie being gone, or how he felt if he's back.
He basically just went through 2 breakups.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Here is our masterpiece, our pièce de résistance. And if we're wrong, it's okay.
This is
a lot of us are wrong.
Yeah. But if we're right,
there's only one.
We will become the most.
We will be prophets.
we actually don't profit.
No.
We can maybe if you subscribe to our Patreon.
We don't have the Eye of Agamotto or anything, so I mean, we're not Doctor Strange.
We see.
No, we aren't. All right, so here's our mind meld brainchild timeline for 8B.
All right, so this is basically what we're thinking is gonna be like the sequence of events, right? So we pretty obviously and pretty imminently, we think that Buck is going to have his feelings realization, where like it dawns on him that he has feelings for Eddie that are not friend feelings. They are more than that, given everything that we just were talking about in 811, right? And we are also expecting, I think this one's safe to say, we're kind of expecting Eddie to have his gay awakening while he's over in Texas. And that's going to be between like 12 and 13. Again, we know we know nothing about 13 at this point. So
no title.
It is a big old question mark.
Isn't that the only one we know that there's a BTS of Eddie's carpet?
Yes, which would make sense because Buck is living in the house. I'm going on record. I'm putting my chips all in because we don't have a title on Diazed and Confused. So
I just want Eddie Begins Again.
I know.
I want to be right.
But that would give it away.
Well,
like Diazed and Confused wouldn't.
I know.
That would actually give it away more. Because Eddie Begins Again could just be general. Diazed and Confused is like, oh, he's gay.
I know. I just really like it.
I do like Diazed and Confused. I also just want to be right.
I like the parallel of having a Bobby Begins Again and an Eddie Begins Again because there's so many Bobby and Eddie parallels, and I think this would also be
yeah. See, sometimes I'm not gonna lie, kind of slight sidebar. Sometimes I'm like, who do they parallel the most to? Between Bethina and Buddie. Like who's who?
Eddie and Bobby and Buck and Athena.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then so Eddie not having his feelings realization when he has his gay awakening, because his world has been overturned so much recently, like with all of it.
Yeah, like moving to El Paso,
Chris leaving,
getting Chris. Like
his best friend's bisexual. That's also in there. Him moving to Texas. Oh my God, he's gay. That's a lot.
Poor man.
Well,
I know.
And it also like reconnecting with his son, potentially moving back to LA. Like there's
Fighting
just so much going on. Fighting his parents. There will be just so much going on that he wouldn't want to rock the boat anymore.
He needs a moment looking at that.
He needs some stability here, right?
Yeah.
So he's not gonna.
I don't think it's gonna be an easy journey for him. He is not radical self-acceptance.
No,
he accepts nothing about himself.
Just because he realizes that he's gay doesn't mean that he is ready to recognize that he is in love with Buck.
Absolutely.
That
not.
will happen further down the line.
Yes. Which leads us.
We're also, again, thinking that there's going to be a big near-death experience coming up specifically for Buck or Eddie, maybe Christopher in 14 or 15. And I always kind of think that, Buck and Eddie would be stuck together and finally have an opportunity to have a conversation and talk about stuff. And this is maybe when Eddie comes out to Buck and they start having this deep conversation again, like they've been trying to do, but it's like cut off at the joint, like every single time. So they start to get into that deeper conversation, but they're saved before they can finish.
Yes, the cavalry is there to cock block them.
Perfect timing, really.
So then we have them at, and they were roommates. And Buck is trying to be so normal.
Failing.
And honestly, like it could be like like once Eddie comes back, there's only one bed, and then there's Christopher's room. You know what I mean?
Couch.
And a couch. But I mean, so that's the thing, right? So Buck is probably being so normal and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna skedaddle now that you're back," and Eddie's gonna be like, "What do you mean?" So, well, Eddie will do his own version of sabotaging.
And to keep Buck there.
Yeah, to keep Buck there. And then
I think we thought if the rest of this is true, like if Eddie comes out to Buck during that emergency, Buck's already aware of his feelings, and it's, I can be normal about this.
Right.
We're living together. It's my straight best friend. I'll get over it. It's fine. He loves me, but he can never love me like that. If he knows that Eddie can love him like that, but won't because he can't love Buck because he's not lovable, whatever, he's got to go.
Yeah.
He's like, I literally can't be normal. I cannot be so brave. I need to leave.
Yeah. He's like, I'm just lucky. I'm just lucky enough that they're here and I have them back, and I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize that again.
And staying there would do that.
Yeah.
In his
I wonder
mind.
what Christopher would say.
He's so tired of them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but now it's kind of like, okay, he now knows that Buck is living there, and then he just has to get up and go. Why? Christopher would really be like, why?
Christopher would be upset because it's like another someone who's leaving.
Like, I forget it. That's the Trump card. That's how he gets him sabotaging.
Oh, like a Parent Trap situation.
Oh, yeah.
I think that could be Eddie's trump card to like get Buck to actually stay after all the other sabotaging.
But Christopher loves you here.
Yeah.
Pulling the Christopher card. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm here. I've been begging for Eddie and Maddie to have a scene. So
please.
So we're thinking like maybe possibly in season 9, Eddie going directly to Maddie, and basically being like, how do you stop your brother? Or like, I
need you to help me stop him from doing something stupid.
Yeah, stop him from moving out. Like, how do I stop this? Like, why?
Yeah. Like,
why can't Buck live on my couch forever?
And then Maddie would just like look at him with her big sister eyes and be like, "Oh, are
honey,
you being so for real right now? These two idiots."
She'll be evil. She'll be like, well, what's he supposed to do when he wants to bring people home? What's he supposed to do when he starts dating people? What's he supposed to do when he gets serious with someone?
And it's like, Eddie doesn't have the answer because that didn't even like occur to him because like,
okay,
he loves the status quo.
Right.
And meanwhile, now Maddie is sitting with the knowledge and the information that both of these two are feeling the same way about each other, and they're just stupid.
And then Maddie's saying that to him, like paired with Buck imminently moving out. Because like up until then, moving back home, he has Christopher, he has Buck, and Buck is living with him. Oh my God, it's perfect. Also, he's like less repressed. Wow, he's the happiest he's ever been. Literally, why can't Buck live on his couch forever? And then Maddie says that shit to him. And then this is just more of a wish list thing. I guess maybe most of this is. But I think this would be such a good way to end no matter how we get here.
Yes. However we end up here.
However we get here. We need an Eddie feelings realization. in the finale
Mhm.
as the emotional cliffhanger where it's like a lingering shot, like we get with Buck's like not O moment in 808.
Where it's just like zooming in on his like
Yes.
expression and this like,
but it's an actual O moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and to like leave it on that shot into summer hiatus.
Mhm.
That would be so juicy.
It's gonna create all the fanfic, kind of like this last hiatus where we had the whole like shoulder thing and the the thumb and then like, oh, okay, so either Eddie just breaks down in his arms and then you continue your fanfic. So yeah, like we need that moment so we can eat good this summer with fanfic.
And I think and I think that would be the best way to go about it, especially to like hype up the next season, which hasn't been renewed yet, but like it's a pretty sure thing. Yeah, it's in the bag, especially with the spinoff. But like that would be such a great way to not have Eddie go through like all of these realizations like so quickly in this back half, but to
give it space,
to breathe, to draw it out a little bit more as well, but just to like really draw us in with like, okay, and this is what 911 also does. They use the finale or like the last 2 episodes, but especially the finale to set up where we're going to pick up with the characters in that next season. And I think that would be the perfect moment to do so, where it's like, okay, we know something's going to happen. Now they both know, but they know separately, and have 9A be a lot of this like mutual pining, like unrequited pining, which is just
and still they
delicious.
Were roommates.
Yeah, and still they were roommates.
Come on.
It just makes it so delicious.
And then I have a final request to make, and I did title the first section in the Buddy section a lyric from this song. I know that we've talked about doing a photograph reprise at some point for either a feelings realization, Buddy getting together, Buddy first kiss, something, whatever. I still think that is a great option. I think this is a great option for a feelings realization for one of them. I don't care which one. It is also an Ed Sheeran song called Friends.
Oh, that's so fitting.
And it says, we're not friends, nor have we ever been. We just try to keep those secrets in our lives. And if they find out, will it all go wrong? And heaven knows no one wants it to. So I could take the back road, but your eyes will lead me straight back home. And if you know me like I know you, you should love me. You should know. Friends just sleep in another bed, and friends don't treat me like you do. Well, I know there's a limit to everything, but my friends won't love me like you.
Oh, that's perfect.
I'm just like, give it to me.
God, give it to me, Rachel.
Give it to me. Here's $5. The bridge is depressing because like this could be also good for feelings realization. But then again, if we're not friends, someone else might love you too. And then again, if we're not friends, there'd be nothing I could do.
Oh man, this is juicy stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, I know we basically just wrote like our fanfic version of 8B, but like it's all so plausible and I really love it.
Me too. Also, this is from the same album that Photograph is from. It just fits.
It just fits.
It just fits.
God.
Anyway,
in conclusion,
we're really excited to see what actually happens in tonight's episode. We'll be live streaming afterward. Come and join us.
If they get through this entire episode before then.
I don't know. Some people do. Maybe.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Remember, don't put a down payment on a house.
But if you do,
take a buddy with you.
Thank you for listening to the Buddy System podcast from start to finish.
We literally cannot shut up about 911, so please come talk to us on your favorite social media platform.
We're at Buddy System Pod everywhere. That's BUDDIE System Pod.
Leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts to get a personal shout out in the next episode. The Buddy System is a Nerdvergent media production featuring music from Divinity.
Can't get enough of the buddies? Subscribe to our Patreon for access to exclusive content in our Discord community.
Catch you next time. And don't forget,
bring a buddy with you.